Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to ThorpTube. Christmas post day. We are here to discuss Nick Fuentes on Piers Morgan, a strategic breakdown of what he missed and what he succeeded in accomplishing. Today we are having this discussion with my dad, who's not on the StreamYard right now, and Big Tech, a long-lost Thorpe fan. Thorpe contributor? Yes, I am early. And I'm going to be staying a little bit, quiet and demure on the sidelines because I may or may not have indulged in a few post-Christmas festivities. So we're echoing. Interesting. What could possibly be echoing? It's just my microphone. So we have water. Big Tech is going to call us in T-1. Actually, he's supposed to call us right now. Let me see. Big Tech and my dad. Okay, the call has been started. So let's go. All right, here we go. Screen sharing. Let's go. Hello.
Yo, what's good?
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? What are you doing? Are you streaming right now?
I am. Yes, I am. Is that okay?
No, your chat sucks.
Don't worry, I got 33 viewers. Not that much competition. Don't worry about it.
Hey, everybody who's watching the Thorpes, you are gay.
True.
Everybody who's watching on the Thorpes channel right now is a piece of shit. Just want you to know that. Merry Christmas, you pieces of filthy, rotten shit.
Merry late Christmas, Big Tech.
Oh, they're aware of who they are.
They know. Yeah, I just want to keep it real with them. You guys suck, and you're no
One
good.
of them gave me $500 yesterday. Isn't that nice?
For his birthday.
No.
Yeah, where's the
birthday's on
birthday wishes,
Christmas?
by the way? Michael, hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Is that real? That's weird. That's pretty weird.
It's great.
Anyway, it is.
Ah.
Okay, cool. Well, happy birthday.
Merry
Thank you.
birthday.
Yeah. Let me switch up my. I can't. Trying to not show my camera on the thing. Oh well, it's not working. Well, all right.
See your
So
pretty face? No, we're just gonna see
No.
your profile picture. No.
I'm
Okay.
a VTuber.
I know.
Why did you go that way?
I think everybody should. People should stop showing their faces.
So you think the entire entertainment industry should be AI?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably going that way. We're all eventually just going to interact through our avatars anyway.
I don't think so, but some of us will.
Yeah. Well, okay, so, Ben, you asked me if I wanted to talk to you and react to the Piers Morgan interview.
Yes, yeah, sure.
And you brought Grace along.
Gotta have the eye candy.
Hi, politically provoked. I
brought-
see her in
you
your
brought-
chat.
You brought Grace in your chat.
Brittany,
Oh,
I want
Brittany's
to
here?
interview you. Brittany, I want to interview you. Please give me an interview with you. I have been doing
Grace
some deep
wants
dives on
she
Mr.
wants
Wilson.
She wants to know about old Andy.
I want the loosh. I want the loosh. Give it to me, mama. Come on. DM me
With
on
a
Twitter.
loosh?
Mm-hmm. I've been doing a lot of research. But anyways, that's not what we're here for. But Brittany, I see you.
Do you take any interest in Andrew Wilson and the Wilson phenomenon?
think Andrew Wilson's great. He's a great man.
Is he a
Good
based
man.
guy?
Doing good work. He's based. He hates the libs. That's all I care about.
Mm. That's all you care about?
That's all I care about. As long as we beat them libs. It's an ideological battle. We just got to overcome the libs.
But aren't sometimes people on your side more harm than good? Like if they're idiots.
At least they're on my side though.
So you don't mind having someone on your side, even if they do more harm than good, to your side.
Like you.
What side am I on?
Wait, are you lib?
I tested as center left.
Yeah,
on
we took
that,
the
you know,
political
that
compass.
4 grids.
Yeah. We're
I
both
tested
libertarian
as slightly
left.
center left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of checks out. All right, so you're an enemy.
Well, this is
I
the
guess
culture
so.
war right here.
If Andrew Wilson is your friend, I'm your enemy. Believe me.
Real.
Yeah. All right, real. Well, Andrew Wilson is my friend. I'm an ally to the Wilsons in what they're doing.
Okay.
They're based.
And how do you feel about the Nick Fuentes project?
Probably the best thing going. He's the
I can see
leader.
that. Of
He's the leader. He's the smartest and best one of us.
Okay.
And by us, I mean us who are on our side.
Yeah, on the other side than I'm on.
Yeah.
Is
Who's the
the
best on
center
your
a
side?
side? Could the center be a side?
Piers Morgan's the best on your side. He's center left.
In the center, I would have said Jordan Peterson is pretty good, but he's imploded.
Yeah, Piers is better than him.
Piers Morgan is not. I'm a centrist edgelord. Piers Morgan is a centrist normie. So we're not friends.
Okay, who's better than
Pope Francis is on my side.
Wow.
Pope Francis would be my kind of guy. Centrist edgelord, without a doubt.
I don't think. Wait, what do you think left means?
It just means against conservatism. Right? It means kind of against the status quo, looking forward. So hard right would be against the status quo, looking back. I'm pretty much in favor of the status quo.
1 second, I got a sub. I'll turn these alerts
I
down.
don't really
Thanks.
know how to say
Thanks,
it.
Subby Wubby, for the
Thank
sub.
you, Subby Wubby, the gift.
I'm against the status quo, but not because I believe we need to be more in the future.
Do you
more in the past?
Do you consider the origin of left-right as still relevant? Do you know about the left-right distinction, where it came from like the French Revolution era and all that?
I think it evolved. I don't know. I mean, I just know the terms themselves mean conservative tending to conserve the past and progressive tending to say the future has a lot of good coming. So it makes sense as an enlightenment sort of term. Is that what you're referring to?
Okay, so, well, we don't have to get into the word selling.
I do think that it's more like elites versus non-elites at this point. So I think the far left, the far right, and the edgelord center have more in common than center right normies, left of center normies. You know, the uniparty, the people who believe the bullshit.
Yeah, it gets all convoluted. You know, it's gone through a bunch of cycles. The Democrats and Republicans have switched sides on certain issues a bunch of times, and now we're just in this point of like who knows what it even means anymore. But it used to be
I'm like a Kennedy Democrat, I guess you could say. Like I probably would land right about where the Kennedys were.
Okay.
But he was killed. So
by the Jews.
Somebody once described us as
there's
politically.
Good evidence for that. I don't know.
Somebody once described us as politically incorrect liberals. I think that's kind of accurate.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say like things like if you're on the left and you say like saying the N word is a big deal, I think you're out of touch. I think that's a center thing, saying the N word. I think race realism is like everyone understands that it's true, though it can be exaggerated. I don't think that's a left or right thing anymore. I mean, I would just say like there are certain horses that are out of the barn. I think the idea that the mainstream media is trustworthy is no one believes that. I think the idea that the government is trustworthy is no longer true, though it was once more true than it
Thank you, Damius, for
currently
the
is, and
500 kids.
should
Thank you.
be more, true in the future. We need to build trust in media and in government, but it's largely gone. But I don't think that's good news.
I think we're at a weird spot, and actually, it's the left-right distinction's becoming, like I said, a little less clear what it even means. And in fact, I think the kind of the culture war thing is becoming less and less about left versus right. And in a way, Nick kind of represents. I wouldn't. It's hard to call it centrist, but more like. I
actually think he's a centrist.
Yeah, maybe.
And he's even said, like, I'm totally
but I think it's more like
happy to throw out capitalism in favor of like whatever. He's a one issue guy, which is like
right.
Israel.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So,
it's kind of like about political horseshoe theory. It's like if you go so far to one direction, you end up on the other side. So it's not actually about being centered. It's about being.
You know how they say females of Grace's generation have, what they say is men have become radicalized, right? And women have moved way apart from them politically of their same age. I don't think that's really true. I think that a guy like Nick Fuentes, pretty much everything he says is what a normal white guy would say in the 50s. It's like he hasn't moved. The culture's moved.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I mean, that whole thing about his dad saying like, "Don't go there. That's where black people go." I think what his dad was saying was, and if I could name him Bill right here and now, just to get the Groypers pissed off, is I think he was saying like this is like low quality food, which is synonymous with saying, N-word.
Yeah, he was saying it's low class.
He really wasn't saying the Olive Garden is black food. It's not like it's soul food.
Right. He was saying that's something
for people who aren't in the know. That's where they go to get spaghetti, which is true.
Right. Yep. That's what
mass
they think
marketed.
is nice.
It's not really good Italian food. If you want really good Italian food, go find a local place that the Italian people are in charge of in your city.
Yeah.
So I don't really see how that's like super crazy to say. It's just like saying,
it's racist.
I don't know. They used to say, they now say jerry rigged. I thought that was jerry rigged, but the old term was N-word rigged. And it means like this is what a black person would do because they're not, they don't care. They don't have the tradition
African
of
engineering.
Caring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, snots and duct tape.
Right.
And like that's not really racist. Go to a neighborhood with black people and the whole place is put together with snots and duct tape.
My chat says,
you ever looked at the videos of the
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you ever looked at the videos the Africans trying to build helicopters and planes? You ever looked at those?
I've seen where the whites were, and like the rivers and all the rivers are just like carcasses of ships because they couldn't maintain them.
Yeah.
So they drove the ships until they just ran out of gas or whatever, and they just left them on the side of the river, and then went back to the canoes or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But I don't think that's particularly racist because, I do think it takes a long time to for any culture to be. It's if you're never the mechanic, you're not going to. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have mechanics in your culture, then you'll just assume everything just works. And then if the mechanics leave in one day, you're going to go like, what do you do when it, I mean, that would be true of anyone.
Yeah, it's like leaving, care of the house and the farm to the children who have no idea how to do it. They don't know. They
Yeah,
don't
like
understand.
in Rhodesia.
Yeah.
Well, we're people. We just have black skin. I think we can do this. No. You need the whole mindset of a Western man takes centuries to get. And
Yeah, literally.
so you need to know how to network. You need to know. It's mostly success in business, mostly people that not techniques. But they didn't have either.
Yeah, but they're winning now. They're gonna outbreed us. It's guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. The Africans are gonna take over. In terms of Catholicism too, they went from 12 to
As long as they're
250
not
million
stopped.
Catholics in Africa. So, as long as they're not what?
As long as they're not stopped. If the trend persists.
You mean if we keep dumping condoms on them?
Well, that would be one way. There's other ways, yeah. Yeah, if they don't get all euthanized or starved or something. Then
you think you're going to persuade black people to use condoms?
No. That's why I said I think I said euthanized, but I meant if they're not like castrated, if they're not neutered.
Like through the water supply or something?
When COVID first broke out, everybody says that it's gonna cause people to stop having babies, make everybody infertile.
Yeah.
I thought, what if it does?
Yeah, didn't they say it was genetically engineered? Didn't Kennedy say it was genetically engineered to bypass blacks and Ashkenazi?
Yeah, RFK said that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Which is, I can see that being possible.
I don't know if he said it was engineered, but he said that it just from the research, it did bypass. No, not blacks, Chinese and Ashkenazi.
Chinese
Jews.
and Ashkenazi.
Wasn't it? I think it was that. Chinese
Something
and
like
Jews.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a hypothetical just for experiment. If, as you say, it's locked in that we are going to be basically so outbred that we will go extinct. If we're
we being
white
people?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't identify as white. I identify
European
as black,
ethnics. Okay. And then but if our gene pool is basically going to get erased, overcome by a tsunami of immigration and all that, we're going to lose power and eventually just lose standing in the world. And if the only way to stop
that's already occurred.
So if there was a way to stop that, and the way was by releasing a genetically engineered virus that would reach those other races that are a threat to us and make them infertile, would you release the virus?
Well, would I be killing people? No. Like the real problem is self-suicide of whites. That's the real problem.
No, but that doesn't kill anybody. It just makes them unable to reproduce.
So you're going to depopulate the whole world? No way. Be fruitful and multiply. And if white people can't do it, let the blacks and the Asians and the browns. Absolutely.
Speaking of white people, Big Tech, before we get into Nick Fuentes, what are your thoughts on clavicular?
Love him.
Really? What do you love about him?
It's going hard as fuck.
You mean running the guy over?
You mean snorting meth?
Yeah. Yeah, he's about what he's about, and I respect that. I like that he's all in on what he wants to do.
Do you think what he wants to do makes any sense?
No, I think it's probably foolish and misguided, but that's young. That's
you respect the grind?
Yeah, I respect the hustle.
So you think being totally antisocial and expecting drugs to solve all of your problems is a good idea, and influencing other young men to do that? Isn't that exactly what is going to bankrupt whites?
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about whites going
well,
extinct,
actually, what has
clavicular has made himself
whites,
infertile. So,
but yeah, what has bankrupted whites is the old mentality, right? Isn't that what got us here? If there was more guys, if there was more whites giving zero fucks and going all in, even at the point of self-destruction, to do what they wanted to do without holding back and saying, we're doing what the fuck we want. We don't care what anybody else says. If whites were acting that way for a few generations, would we be in the same spot that we're in today?
Well, Clav's not going to reproduce, so we'd be...
Well, doesn't it depend what you do?
Yeah, sure, certainly it does. But I'm just saying it is. I think that spirit's been missing from us. I think we sort of like relaxed when we took over the world and found the new world and expanded our empires and won the world wars and all that stuff. I think my view is that we sort of went like, okay, we kind of like we made it. We're the winners, and then now we'll just let everybody else have their day. And
But
now we're
you're
gonna
not
die.
aware that World War I was seen as the greatest catastrophe in history by those who participated in it. It was not seen as like a high five. It was like a disaster. It was the end
Oh, I
of
know.
the Enlightenment.
I'm aware.
Well, so
Yeah,
like
yeah. I'm not
everyone
saying the
lost
World War
World
One
War
was
One
good.
and World War II, right?
Well, not it. Well, yeah, yeah. No, those weren't good things to happen. Not everything about it was good, but there was a lot of good that came from it. Everything's like that, you know. Destruction leads to more creation. Like you cut down the tree to build the house. There's a lot of things that we're enjoying right now that are literally like the result of World War II, for example. And World War II was a result of World War One, like the massive explosion in information technologies, decryptions, industrialization. Um, Sea travel, air travel, innovations, all the things that we tooled up for fighting World War II, kind of led to the industrialization age of tech and engineering and all the stuff that we're going through now. Like it
Yeah.
or
So
not,
you're
maybe
saying death is the source of creativity. That's the Darwinian concept.
is it not true?
Death and war is the source of creativity. No, I don't think that's true.
Like what would the Bronze Age have been if we didn't need swords?
I mean, that's like saying the American economy recovered from the Great Depression because of World War II. Okay, like that's true in a certain sense, but that was just artificial. There was nothing of value produced in creating all these bombs and tanks and tankers. They're just death machines.
Yeah, but like we ended up getting nuclear power and all these things that were because of the physicists racing to understand that technology, and that was funded by the war effort. That kind of
So
stuff.
you think that technology relies on war? Those things. There are a lot of technical innovations that happened outside of war. And the problem is you got the nuclear bomb also.
Can I just read a chat from my chat really quick? Connor Wade says, this
No.
person just said, quote, I like this person because he's going hard in what he believes in, then recognize that everything that person is doing is stupid. That is the problem. Thoughts?
No, not really. That person's watching your stream, so they are
All right, let's do a pivot. Grace has a
discarded.
theory. Grace, tell Big Tech your theory. It's about how the generations. Okay, it has to do with chimps. I was talking with a guy. Try to see if you can sell this to Big Tech.
Well, I mean,
All
you're
right, and
saying
then we'll
like,
get into
oh,
the Piers Morgan.
Clav
Yeah.
is Clav is like, oh, he's based or whatever. I like Clav may be like cool to bros, but the concept of reproducing, I mean, he's literally not able to reproduce, and he is the icon of the Zoomer male generation. So I believe that girls my age who want to have kids and are normal females are going to reproduce with either millennials or Gen X men, and Zoomer males are going to die out completely. Like, that generation is over. They're outbreeding themselves. And the only survivors are going to be
Well, you're getting
girls
to the
here's the
punchline
problem.
too.
my
Here-
age. Yeah, go
Let me
ahead.
just give you. Here's the answer. The bottleneck to human reproduction is not the males; it's the females. So worrying about what Clav does with his balls
It's
is
either
irrelevant.
side. It can be
If
either
you
side.
and if you and all your
Right.
sisters of your generation are not having 5, 6, 7, 8 kids, we're fucked. It's not because Clav doesn't have enough cum in his balls. Literally, like 10 guys can inseminate 1,000 women a year.
Well, but
we don't
Grace
need.
didn't. Yeah,
We don't
she
need
didn't set it
guys
up
to have
properly.
more sperm. We need
That's
women
right.
to become mothers.
But or menopausal and older women are useless in this effort. You would say, right? They're useless, right?
In the reproduction, yeah.
Okay, and here's the interesting thing: guys like Clav want to have sex with those women in extraordinary numbers.
Perfect.
Okay, so but those two sub generations, male Zoomers and let's say Gen X women, are going to be like erased from history, right? If they get together. And if Gen Z girls, I don't know if so like statistically that it's an amazing change how open they are to age gaps with older men.
True.
And those men are perfect, and those women are perfectly able to reproduce to make up for what the Zoomer boys can't or don't want to do, right? So the internet has spent a lot of time, because it's male oriented, indulging these Zoomers and crying about how girls their age don't want to fuck them. But what's interesting is nature doesn't care about people crying. Nature doesn't care. In other words, reproduction occurs when a pussy gets wet. And you're right to say it's the pussies that matter. Okay? So guys crying about why pussies won't get wet, nature doesn't care. And I'm not sure that society should care either. I say write them all off. And my generation and your generation of men just go Genghis Khan on these Zoomer girls, right?
Yeah.
And have them bang out 12, 14, 16 kids each and just say, I don't, because how isn't nature it's already gone. My point is like, that's all done. And like, we're just not willing to do it because men feel like, well, I don't want to, seem like I'm taking advantage of these girls. But once they understand the girls are more into it than the guys, as I found out, it's like, okay, that's a fantasy. You know what I mean? That's like perfect. Dump the old hags. Let them get validated by guys like Clav. Enjoy. I don't fucking care. Because they're into that. They'd be into that, right? They'd want your ex, my ex, right? They'd want this kind of validation. Like, oh, for some reason, men my age don't like me. Yeah, because you're a bitch. You're a cunt and you're a feminist loser. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Because nature is always going to nature is always going to reassert itself.
Wait, so you're pro nature, but you're anti death and fighting. The dog eat dog nature of reality, but nature's going to reassert itself. That's kind of back to what I think. I think that it's a cruel world.
Yeah, I think you're pro fallen nature. I'm pro nature. It's prelapsarian.
Oh,
be fruitful.
You're pro supernatural nature.
Well, I think. Well, I mean, as Christians would understand, there's like nature, just the way things are made, and then there's like sin, which
wait a minute. Do you believe in evolution?
Something like homosexuality.
Are you a Darwinian Catholic?
It depends what you mean by it, but I don't believe that. I think Darwinism is a philosophy. It's a terrible philosophy that death is the source of creativity.
Now, do you believe in evolution by natural selection? Do you think that that's a valid theory?
Well, that's called microevolution.
Yeah, origin of species.
Everyone believes in that. Yeah, like the Eskimos look the way they do because of their environment, geography.
What about macroevolution?
Do I believe a cat can become a dog through genetic mutation? No one believes that.
Evolutionist. No, that's not. Neither does Darwin or any scientist.
Yeah, genetic mutation cannot account for the big leaps. It's been disproven.
So where does that come from?
So where does what come from?
The big leaps, as you call them.
I don't like scientifically. I would say it's unclear, but like genetic mutation can't account for it. You should research that.
Was there death before the fall on the planet?
I believe so, yeah, but not of humans.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think the fall. I don't think the fall.
Vegetarians.
If you say like the Garden of Eden took place at a certain point in time, I don't think that's true. It's not a time and place that we're gonna dig down. It's like it's the same question. Kid asked me this one. It's an interesting question. How come the dinosaurs were killing each other if it was paradise, right? And the answer to the question, where were Adam and Eve, is the same answer to the question, where are Jesus and Mary? Because they're both, according to Catholics, physical. But where are they, right? Yeah. They're on a different kind of plane than we are. I don't believe they're on some moon somewhere. But I don't believe they're on Earth. And so that, I believe, is the new heavens and the new earth. And what the relationship is between this world and that is like, it's interesting. I don't know what the answer. I don't think we've been given the answer. But
So
it
where
is
are
in
they?
some ways like this world, but in some ways very
Amazing.
Well, big takeaway. If you
because
want to talk
remember
about,
when Jesus was
yeah.
here and he was resurrected, he ate fish, but he also walked through walls. So
True.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about evolution though, like natural selection, there is I heard this theory. There's this thing of like in chimpanzee, I don't know what you call them, packs or whatever. There's this thing that
Troops.
happens where what?
Troops, I think.
Troops? Oh, okay. So chimpanzee troops, if the younger males are weak, the alpha male or the top.
No, it's if the troop as a whole is stressed.
Oh, if the troop as a whole is stressed, the top alpha male will override the younger males and just start breeding like crazy with the younger females to produce more life for the next generation. Because the idea is the troop as a whole has been put under stress. So the newest generation is not really doing its job. So the older generations that did manage to get to the alpha position have to sort of repopulate the herd or the troop or whatever to get that sort of genetic material out there to make it stronger. And I don't see how that isn't what's going to happen.
It's a way of like overriding the next generation.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's all. Yeah, but I don't think we operate like chimps. I get what you're saying, but look,
But shouldn't we?
You're talking to me. I think that we are like at a very unnatural part of our natural cycle. I know that's kind of a contradiction, but we're coming into, like, I think a lot about the coming machine age. I don't know if you believe in that. I think we're coming into an age where our technology is going to get so fucking weird that I think that our reproductive habits are really going to shift. Sort of like our social habits have already shifted. Most of our social interactions for many of us are taking place virtually online. We order our food through an app. We dial up who we want to hang out with through app, friending and stuff like that. I think that probably we're going to start seeing people reproduce with like mail order babies, basically, like mail order test tubes. Women who decide to, have families. There could be economic incentives put in. There could be new social types of
But can I ask you this?
in store for women who decide to become mothers of big families.
Do you believe that human nature is going to change?
Well, that's kind of deep. Like, what is human nature? Has it already changed? Do you think it ever changes? Like, I don't know.
No.
Do you mean just like, yeah, you think it just stays the same?
The 20th century was an experiment in whether, tabula rasa, right? Like whether the state can just make what's called the new man. And the answer is no. You can't change human nature so that we all share. That was what the Soviets and the Chinese and Pol Pot and all them did. No, it reasserts itself. You just have a new type of czarism, right? Except you say you're comrades as you steal everyone's money, right? Like it's the rich exploiting the poor. It didn't change anything. And the idea of the man, the post-Christian person who is like totally dedicated to the state didn't work. It obviously completely failed. So we've already done this experiment. It doesn't work. Human nature asserts itself. And
what's human nature?
The old religions reassert themselves as the best solution.
But let's use this as a segue into our Piers thing. But what is human nature? And then we'll see which one of them is representing it the best. Maybe we'll add that in there. But what do you mean by human nature? What's that?
You don't know what that means?
I'm not sure. I guess it could mean
what it is to be
all sorts of stuff. Yeah. What is that?
Well, it's like saying, what is the nature of this light? Or, so what is the nature of a human?
Is that... Yeah.
You're saying what is the content of it?
Well, you're asking me if it changes, so I'm asking you to define it.
You mean to say what is it? What
you're saying does human nature
or what does
change?
The term mean?
Yeah, what is it? What do you mean by that when you say does human nature change? What's human nature?
It means what it is that makes us human beings.
You mean like walking upright and having opposable thumbs?
He's saying like what are some traits of human nature that...
Oh, okay. Like so that we're basically, in spite of Destiny's experiments, we are basically monogamous. That we're social animals, that we are spiritual, religious by nature, political. I mean, that which you see commonly throughout history in various iterations tells us about human nature. We're curious. We make art. We take delight in beauty. We pursue truth.
Yeah, I don't really think I don't really buy the whole thing like the internet has changed humans and the way we connect. I think humans are still very social. We just do it on the internet. Like the way we're social has changed, but I still think most of the time people spend on the internet is spent being social, watching what other people do or create or talking to them.
Well, you can look at you can look at the big contention on is that dating apps have fundamentally changed dating. I see no evidence of that whatsoever. But red pillars will cry about it. I think what happens is with an introduction of any new technology, a certain bunch of losers who cry because now they have an opportunity to claim to be victims of something.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the worst.
Later on, people go, "What? The train was going to like ruin everything? Like, what are you talking about?"
Okay. Well, you want to jump into the Piers stuff? Let's do
it.
Sure.
I'm here for it. All right, so I pulled it up. You guys see my video I'm sharing? Actually, can I pull this up for the? Yeah, all right, that's cool. We got it here. Oh, I got to unmute it. Let's jump into it, as they say.
An NPR fan and Daily Wire subscriber, or an avid consumer of all things Tucker Carlson. For several months now, there's been no avoiding the subject of Nick Fuentes. And let's be clear, the main reason you're hearing about him is because he's popular. A large number of people, especially young men, are interested.
Why do you think? Yeah, why do you think Nick's so popular?
I think Nick was suddenly allowed on several platforms, which then did have a domino effect. But like, I don't see any organic reason why all of a sudden the Nick Fuentes debate. I think it's like the funding of Hamas. I think it was done deliberately as a kind of, what would you call that? Like Hamas was funded to divide the Palestinians. I think it's a form of Hasbara.
Controlled opposition.
Yeah, I think
it's
is funded by them. Like Hamas wasn't owned by the Israelis. But I do find it odd because I was like, all of a sudden, which was the first one he was on, like Patrick Bet David or something? Like
no,
he was on like 2 or 3 out of nowhere, and then the rest of them did follow.
He was on Candace Owens. I think that was one of the earliest ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe
Candace
it was.
Owens.
Who was he on? Help me out, Chad. Who was he on with right before Candace? But no, he was blowing up before that. I mean, he had his Kanye moment, right? So he became nationally known.
Fresh and
going
Fit.
around with Kanye.
That was years ago.
He was on Fresh and Fit too. He's become more mainstream, but I think Kanye was the breakthrough, and then there was a cool off. That was the first peak.
Yeah,
he went to Mar-a-Lago, and he was on with Alex Jones, and then he started being a regular on Alex Jones for the year or so after that.
Oh, okay. So maybe so I don't know about that. But Alex Jones is not really mainstream.
He's adjacent. He's absolutely real. He's real big. He really is.
Fresh and Fit is adjacent to mainstream?
My chat is saying Dinesh D'Souza. Apparently that was before Candace.
He did Dinesh D'Souza, and I think who was the other not Barry Weiss. Who's the Greenwald? He went over to Glenn Greenwald.
Yeah.
And so there was a stepping up in dealing with sort of mainstream approved or accepted or kosher, basically kosher conservative kosher media people.
But why? Like
why? That's my question. Yeah, why?
It's just kind of, I mean, Nick he's been doing this for 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden? Did his opinions change or something?
No, he was pushed out for half of that decade. I mean, he was deplatformed off of YouTube, debanked off everything, pushed to DLive, and then pushed to his own website. But then things started breaking. The ice started cracking. Elon bought Twitter. let everybody back on, which was huge.
Yeah.
Rumble started allowing people to say things that they weren't allowed to say on other platforms. Nick was able to start streaming on there, getting people outside of his little echo chamber. And then he started breaking through with access to people like, Kanye forced it, like I said, Alex Jones forced it. And I think he started breaking back through this
Yeah, but
barrier that was set up to keep him out.
I remember the Kanye thing, the Net and Yoo-Hoo Milk thing. Like, that was like a joke for like 2 weeks, but it didn't, like, that was a year or two before this whole blow up. Like, I remember thinking it was like just a flash in the pan.
Well, it was before October 7th.
Okay, did he start
October
gaining
7th
popularity
changed
after October 7th? Because I know
Yeah,
that was a
October
big thing.
7th. October 7th changed everything because all of a sudden it became a mainstream issue to talk about Jews and what they're like and what they're doing, and it became very popular to take a position against them. And
Yeah.
so once that started happening, there was now like in the cultural zeitgeist after. I'll wait for Ben. So yeah, so I'm saying
Sorry.
so Grace was asking like what was it that changed that forced Nick back in, because he had that little glow up with Kanye that moment, which was
Yeah.
big for a lot, but it put his name in the mouths of a lot of influencers who follow Kanye, the biggest musical artist of our generation, and all that stuff.
I disagree with that, by the way, but okay, go ahead.
I don't really think that's true either. I don't think.
Well, who's bigger than Kanye?
Nick glazes Kanye way too much. Like, he had some okay songs, but like he's really not that good. Like, it's overdone.
Jay-Z.
Well, I didn't say he was good. I said he's the biggest.
That's like saying Drake. That's like saying Drake. He's very big, but he's not really respected. Drake.
All right. Well, it's kind of irrelevant to the numbers. The numbers are what they are. Kanye's the Michael Jackson of our generation.
No, I don't think so.
Well, who is then? Who's bigger than Kanye? For the Zoomers.
Literally Drake. I mean, Drake is the biggest.
Drake's bigger than Kanye?
Yeah.
I think it goes quicker now, but it was for a while.
Drake's a bigger pop culture icon than Kanye West, with the Kardashians and all the rest.
I mean,
Drake is like in the top 5 of the world. So
I don't think Zoomers really care about the Kardashians. Do they?
Not really. You're right. It was more of a millennial thing.
That's like a millennial thing. I don't even understand it. I still have no idea what a Kardashian is.
I mean, Kanye's biggest songs are... Kanye's biggest songs are Stronger, Gold Digger, and Power. Those are all from like 2010, 2012. Like, I mean...
Yeah, that's
he does experimental stuff. I get that it's maybe cool for like people who are into music.
I think white, really like educated white, like people who are like music reviewers who want to say something, black people will talk about Kanye. But like, that's not really the core audience. You know what I mean? When I was younger, there were rap groups like positive rap groups. De La Soul was one, and like all the music reviewers wanted 5 stars because they were like all talking about like wearing condoms is cool and stuff like that. But it never really hit. With
all right, let's leave the quibbling aside about who's the biggest and who's bigger. But the point is, can we argue that there was a transfer of clout from Kanye to Nick in that event? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Kanye at the time was doing his Net and Yoo-Hoo. It was crazy. It came across as crazy. You know what I mean? So it was like they all took a ride on the crazy.
So my point was with Grace when you were stepping away that was before October 7th. Before October 7th, talking about Jews was very, very uncool. It was uncouth. It was unacceptable. Yeah. After October 7th and after Elon bought Twitter and let everybody back on, and after all of that stuff, now it's in the popular cultural zeitgeist to be questioning Israel and our relationship with them. And are we now like vicariously responsible for like a massive massacre and all of this stuff?
I think that happened organically. Yeah, I think that happened organically.
Yeah. So I'm describing
October 7th, but why did Fuentes suddenly get platformed? Because he didn't start getting platformed at like right after October 7th. It wasn't then.
No, it was after the Iran.
I think the problem was you had too many like Dave Smiths and like really articulate, non-controversial people. So I think the Hasbara people said, all right, bring Fuentes in. Let's fuck it up.
I could actually see that
least.
because the two big voices you had before Nick Fuentes was Dave Smith and Norman Finkelstein, both of whom are Jewish and don't do the anti-Semitic stuff.
And
So,
Tucker Carlson also.
right, but like Dave Smith and Norman Finkelstein, they are really untouchable on the Israel issue. But Fuentes has all this baggage that makes him look racist or whatever else. So I could see that how he's like a better tool.
Yeah.
Well, Candace started going off on the Jews, and she broke free from Daily Wire, and she, parted ways with Ben Shapiro, and she started talking about the Jews and the Sabbateans, and she started going into her whole.
But she also
thing,
trashed Fuentes.
Yeah, but then she had Fuentes on, and like so you're thinking that's like a Hasbara conspiracy, and what you're
Candace
describing is a
Owens-
conspiracy theory. And that's
I
fine.
think Candace
but so
Owens
you're
does
saying
her
that
own
there's a
thing, but like,
conspiracy.
wasn't she saying that the prime minister of France is married to a dude? Like that seems
Bridget.
like just like that people who are against stuff would be like, oh, that's great, yeah, do that, because that's kind of crazy.
Well, it's
That's
crazy
like the frogs
that
are gay.
it's
like
also crazy that Brigitte Macron was like in her 30s and fucked a 15-year-old boy, and then he became the prime minister. That's also crazy. And that's just what they tell us is the actual truth, is that she's a woman, a middle-aged woman who fucked a teenage boy, and then he became the prime minister.
Well, I actually think the mainstream theory is that they weren't dating when he was in high school, but it was his high school teacher.
Yeah. Well, so they weren't.
So
So then they only got together when he was in his 20s, and she's in her late 40s. Then.
And what's the problem with that?
Yeah, totally normal, no problem.
Well, I think it's weird, but like,
what would the theory
Yeah.
be
I'm
that
not
she's
sure what the
controlling
big
him?
deal is.
What would the theory be?
The theory is that there's something fishy going on with these world elites, and he's one of them, and there's some fucking weird relationship going on with this woman who Candace has then also just decided that, and it wasn't her who came up with the theory, right? This was a thing. This was an issue in France. Like, what's going on with this Brigitte situation?
I don't know. It's like, it strikes me as similar to the Barack Obama was in America thing. Trump didn't come up with that, but he really wrote it. I'm not sure how relevant it was. I don't think it made any difference, but
yeah,
I think it comes across as conspiracy-ish.
All right.
Like
Well, the reason I think
pizza
that Nick is
story.
popular, I think Nick's popular because he's right. I think Nick has a powerful message that has been intentionally attempted to be repressed, suppressed, kept out, cloistered, sequestered, like kept away from the popular narrative, from the conversation. And post-COVID, and then post-October 7th, there was such a like a hunger, like a desire for alternative narratives to be able to be expressed, a resistance of deplatforming and cancellations, a distrust of the government and their narratives and this and that. And then we had things like Rumble, and we had things like Twitter buying Elon buying Twitter, and stuff like that, where I think that Nick's breaking basically to where I think is sort of like a rightful place. I think it's just basically Nick is where he maybe could have been and would have been, maybe even more powerfully than he would have been, but like in the way that when you prune a hedge, it ends up growing back even stronger. It sprouts more branches. Nick has been like pushed into this pressurized little cult sphere where he was developing a strong cult following out in the wilderness and the banishment. And then as soon as the gates open for those wild things to come back in, it hit like a breath, like a wildfire. And I think that's what's going on.
Well, let's see how powerful his message is.
Well,
let's see
the analogy would be Patrick Buchanan in the 80s, who had a very similar message, right? Like that, white civilization is falling. The Jews are a bit of a problem, although he wasn't really, he was always pretty guarded in what he said. But he was boxed out by Buckley and the Conservative Inc. And you're just saying that, but he was much smarter than Nick Fuentes, much, much more well-read. than Nick Fuentes. But you're saying if Buchanan had been trying to do that in the teens, he would have been the big guy, because the Overton window had to shift back to where it was okay to say that.
Yeah, I don't think in Pat Buchanan's era, I don't think that we had the mechanism in place like Nick has. Like Pat Buchanan couldn't just jump on a live stream, and Pat Buchanan also wasn't the young, culturally.
He had quite a following, though. He did have quite a following.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did
but
quite
you're
well.
Saying maybe it was too close to the Holocaust. We had to wait out this Holocaust thing for 60 years until people got sick of it. Something like that. Until they pushed the Hasbara so hard down our throats that we had to push back.
Well, imagine if Pat Buchanan was a young, energetic guy post October 7th, and he had the internet and wasn't, locked out by, major news networks for whether or not he could have a platform.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So he was like pre 9/11, wasn't he? And then after, but I mean, like he was writing his books in the 90s, isn't that right?
But wouldn't you say that, like, okay, if look, I think I agree with you that I think we probably both agree that the one single issue that America needs to deal with is the relationship with Israel. If we can just break that, then we're free. But having a guy who's also talking, who's not doing it carefully and saying like there's a problem with the Jews more, and saying blacks also, don't you sense like that's it's more you need to have this be as streamlined as possible to make it happen, right? You can understand the theory that like a Dave Smith is a better standard bearer because he's clean.
Well, it just depends on who you're trying to reach, and there is the boomer issue. Most of our voters, especially the ones who have money and influence, they are still very boomer mentality, and so they're going to be more resonant with Dave Smith off the bat because, like you said. But
I'm just
also
saying politically, in order to get
the Jewish issue,
to
me, the Jewish issue isn't just the Israel issue. I mean that's really where the Jewish issue becomes like really sort of quintessentially expressed, right? Is in our state relationship with that other state. But the Jews essentially being a state within other states was already a thing quite a bit before Israel even became a country, and then all along afterward, before we ended up having this sort of weird unholy alliance with them. So
yeah, I agree, but they put all their energy in. So if this project is defeated, they're largely defeated. So it'll be another 100 years before they come up with something new.
Yeah,
like they put an enormous amount of energy. Right? Like, so if literally Iran gets hold of a nuclear bomb, hits Tel Aviv with it, okay, like the Jewish project is largely wild, and that's conceivable.
You don't think they would hit back with nuclear strikes?
Yeah, they would, but what I'm saying is like they'd lose like 50% of the Jews in the world in one fell swoop, be dead.
Well, yeah, that's true. That is true.
God forbid.
I'm not sure whether the rest of the world would rally to their defense. I think at this point people would say like, we're not doing it.
Well, let's move on and see how Nick does. So
yeah. Well, so this would be the argument: is you're saying he's an active articulator of this position? I think he's pretty bad. Although I agree with you.
Dad, your mic keeps cutting out.
I don't know. Well, that's a problem with the mic.
Could you hold it on your lap, maybe? I don't know. It's just cutting out.
Oh, is it cutting out now?
No, now it's fine.
I'll talk right at it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it just goes like completely silent for a second
it's just not
and a half.
picking you up. I don't know why.
It's done it for just
maybe there's
like
settings
3 or 4 times. Yeah, something.
I'll come check your audio settings. But
my opinion is that that Nick, like there's a demand for what Nick's doing in the marketplace, and it was basically regulated out, and then the regulations sort of were repealed, and then it's found its way back in. That's what I think's going on. But I know a lot of people think that it's astroturfed.
If you were to take Adam, if you were to say Adam Green has suddenly become part of, like, he's on Piers Morgan, wouldn't you say like, I don't know about that, because he's so his theories are so bizarre that it's like it's hard to see it as organic.
Yeah, but Nick is not on the same level as
No,
Adam.
I know.
Adam's not on
I
Nick's
know.
level, so it's a little bit apples and oranges. Yeah, I would agree that if all of a sudden Piers decided, hey, let's just have this fella Adam Green on and talk to him about his conspiracy concept of Christianity, that would
Right.
seem odd. I mean, it would be interesting, but it would seem
would
like,
be
oh,
interesting.
I would have to go like, I wonder why Piers made that choice.
Yeah.
But with Nick, I don't really wonder. It's like it just seems it seems inevitable. It seems sort of like, well, of course it was eventually going to go this way. To me,
Okay.
Let's
take a look because I think let's just say this. I think that I could have a 2-hour conversation with Nick Fuentes, and I would either come to one of two conclusions. One, he's just an asshole and an edgelord for the sake of being an edgelord, or two, he's a sincere. And I, from his performance here, he's either like, I would say stupid or really uneducated, because he accepts Piers' framing, and I don't think he should do that. I don't know why he did that. But of course, his people are going to cheer.
I actually totally disagree with you. I think he did the right thing.
All right, go ahead. Let's go into it because that'd be good.
In fact, did you see Joe Rogan's response?
No.
To the Piers? Somebody in chat, can you link that for me? I want to show that to them. Well, I'll see if I can find it. I played it yesterday. But yeah,
basically Piers was owned by Nick.
Yeah, because Nick made exactly the right move that Piers didn't know how to counter, which was by saying, "Oh, what? Too soon?" So by just owning it and saying, "Yeah, who cares?" Piers was, like Piers just ended up looking like a scolding Karen, essentially, toward a young kid who's just like tired of giving a fuck about stuff that doesn't matter.
Well, but saying like the Holocaust doesn't matter is not like really, like, I don't give a fuck about the Holocaust. You think that's a sophisticated response?
It's a reactionary response to this thing that they bring up as some sort of basically a barrier that they want to throw up to prevent any conversation about organized Jewry.
Right. Okay. Well, let's go into it, because I think there's a better response, which is something like saying, yeah, the Holocaust is a tragedy, but it's being weaponized, and that's what the problem I have with it. I think that's better than saying I don't give a fuck about the Holocaust and then laughing about like the numbers. I think that's relatively immature. But I mean, he's a young guy, but like I'm saying, it's like it kind of sucks, in my opinion. But go ahead.
Yep. Here we go.
What he has to say. What that says about our society and our culture is the subject of ferocious debate. For many people, it's a grave indictment of an insidious immorality. For others, he's a product of a culture which has turned on its own and left many young people feeling listless and bitter. He's either a litmus test for right-wing hypocrisy on free speech or a walking, talking manifestation of where the lines should be drawn. And a frankly preposterous amount of airtime has been spent on debating everything from his ideology to his sexuality and whether anyone should actually talk to him at all.
If I were writing a glossary entry on the Streisand effect, I wouldn't put a picture of her next to it.
No, this guy
I would put a picture of Nick Fuentes.
They have opted to.
Yeah, he's part of the program.
Not do so when it comes to Nazis like Nick Fuentes.
Fuentes takes this guy apart brick by brick. It's a full takedown.
My concern is that people who are a bit more moderate are deeply alarmed by Nick Fuentes.
I was very happy to see that Nick Fuentes really passed that test with flying colors.
That fragmentation is being caused purposefully by a splinter faction of people led by a young man named Nick Fuentes.
That's the war. Can you get the beef prices down? Not crazy things that Nick Fuentes or these
Oh, you know what?
loons.
I just realized, I got to say it. One thing that we didn't mention that's so obvious is Charlie Kirk, too. That just happened. So it was October 7th. Elon bought Twitter, and now Charlie Kirk is gone. Charlie Kirk was the leader of essentially the right-wing MAGA youth. Who's the new guy who reaches the youth? It's Nick. So they're just going to ignore him forever?
I don't know about Charlie Kirk had no impact whatsoever on my life, but then I'm not in that generation. But I don't think in media, I don't think Charlie Kirk really made much of an impact.
Wow.
But I know the organization he has is huge.
Yeah. So if you're a person who's of college age, who is reaching you? There was a time when it was Ben Shapiro doing his college tours.
Yeah.
And then Charlie Kirk took up the mantle for that. And now that Charlie's gone and Ben Shapiro's old news, and also sort of just like he's just doing his Daily Wire stuff, who's the new guy to reach the youth? And the youth are always obviously going to be an important demographic. I mean, that's going to be a main focus. So if, controlling the narrative that's reaching the youth and basically having influence over the influencers is part of their agenda, then they have to now start acknowledging and dealing with this Nick issue.
Yeah, but
So that,
Charlie Kirk,
another reason why they're having to drag him out.
Charlie Kirk was, to use a Gen Z word, boomer coded. He was not really like, wow, this revolutionary figure. Like,
yeah, that was the problem.
Like a Temu Steven Crowder at best. Like, nobody really cared. I understand his organization is big.
That organization was Zionist through and through.
Yeah, that's why he and Nick were basically adversaries.
Right. So, but him dying.
So now Nick's biggest adversary, his biggest cock blocking access to the youth, was assassinated.
Sure. Yeah.
And so now it's just Nick. It's like he's the only one left on the field. So now they have to deal with him. Is my point, right?
I would think they would just. I would just think that TPUSA would become less relevant without Charlie Kirk, but they'd put just a Zionist shill, which is interesting that they haven't really. And they did AmFest, and it was all about Zionism. It was a shit show.
Yeah, and they had Tucker there.
Yeah, no, they're sort of floundering, right? They're lost. They don't have the guy anymore.
The anti-Zionists clearly won the day.
Because America's youth pastor, Charlie Church. Kirk means church.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yes, that's what it means. The word church comes from Kirk. So Charlie Church died, and now there's one young Christian man who's talking about politics that's relevant. It's Nick.
Mm.
Yeah.
But what I would think they would put in is a guy like, what's that guy, Anderson? Like the Temu Nick? What's his name?
Yeah, you can try to put in anybody you want, but it's going to take some time, right? For anybody to buy into it, give a shit what they say. Nick has been around. Nick has.
Yeah, they're going to shrink. They're going to shrink.
Do you know about the Groyper War? Do you understand what that was?
Yeah, I know the Groyper. Yeah, it's funny. Right.
But do you?
Yeah, you line up the guys behind the mic with the USS Liberty questions. And drive Charlie Kirk crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. Is you understand that it was a sustained campaign against Charlie Kirk and TPUSA.
Yeah, he hated it.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yes. So now,
but he didn't almost topple TPUSA with it.
No, that's not the point. But the point is that Nick and Charlie were like ideologically clashing for that demographic, and now Charlie's gone, and so Nick is just he's there unopposed.
What I'm saying is I don't understand why TPUSA doesn't instantly put like this Anderson kid there, back him with tons of money. They'll lose tons of people, but they're going to lose them anyways. I mean,
to Nick,
it actually seems like the organization at its core is kind of saying we're not staying allied with the Zionists. And
they are.
Well, I mean, you've got
they're going to
up
try
there.
to keep it.
You've got Steve Bannon up there going, Ben Shapiro is a cancer. You're calling a Jewish person like a cancer that's metastasizing. Like you pretty much are doing Third Reich type stuff.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
Right,
like,
and this is the post October 7th.
You should be yanking him and then apologizing if you're a Zionist cause, but like they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like all the screaming about Nick Fuentes on the internet is finally dying down a little bit.
So now we had on this guy, this Fuentes guy, and never challenged him.
You should have Nick Fuentes on your show, and you could ask him questions about that.
The truth is, it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend all this time talking about Nick Fuentes, but not actually to Nick Fuentes. People who say you shouldn't give him a platform overlook the very obvious fact that he already has a platform of his own, which is often bigger than most of the people complaining. And he uses it to speak unchallenged to his many followers. It's on that basis that I've invited him to appear live and uncensored on my platform. And Nick Fuentes joins me now. Nick Fuentes, welcome to Uncensored.
Hi, great to be with you.
I don't know you. I don't think we've ever met. You can correct
I
me
don't
if that's
know you.
wrong.
I don't know
I know
you.
about you. I know that increasingly people are talking about you in a more mainstream environment than you may be used to. So for those of you who know nothing about Nick Fuentes, I want this to be an opportunity to get to the real person. I don't know who that person is, but I do want to use this opportunity to get there. I've seen you talk as we prepared for.
So in my view, I think this is basically where Piers fucked up, because, you know, maybe there's some who disagree, but it seems to me generally universally agreed that Nick won this debate. Nick came out on top. The idea was that it was Nick's to win or lose, and he didn't lose, so he won.
No, I agree with Piers's approach towards this, because Nick himself will admit that he says wild stuff on his own show and then conservatizes it or moderates it for big time interviews. So Piers was kind of trying to say, like, which one is the real you, because you have two sides. And I think that's an interesting way to approach the interview. I think that's a fair criticism of him.
I don't think that's a fair criticism. That's true of anyone.
Now, my point is that rather than bringing on Nick to talk about what is it about what you're saying that people are so upset about, he said, let's get to know you, the person. So he made it about Nick's person and Nick's character rather than Nick's message and his messaging and his ideology, his ideas. So it went again at the person. It's basically an ad hominem interview, and so it's against the person rather than against the argument. And so I think Piers actually could have done better, potentially, at least even in just appealing to the public opinion after the interview, sort of like rhetorically, stick to the facts.
I disagree with you. That's a classic thing people say, like, let's get to know the real you in an interview. That you shouldn't read too much into it. That's a typical
No.
Piers
but the thing is, throughout the rest of the interview, he sticks to that. It's just about Nick. Well, what's wrong with you? Why are you like this? Are
I don't
you
really
just
think so. He's
unfuckable?
challenging him on his stances on racism and women and stuff like that. What were you going to say, Don?
No.
Yeah, but he's not talking to him about the ideas of race realism. He's saying, why are you a racist? Is it because your dad made you that way? Is that why you're a hateful little bigot? Like, he's making it about him.
No. I think Piers Morgan was saying, okay, we've had now 2 softball interviews. First, it was Tucker Carlson. Then it was Dave Smith. Or no, even Candace's was kind of softball, though she lashed at him afterwards. Then Tucker Carlson. There's too many softball interviews that let him tell his story on his terms. So what I think, and then you had Shapiro with his clip fest, which is kind of just cheap shots. So I think Piers was saying, all right, here's the framing.
Candace's wasn't a softball either. Candace's was the clip farming thing again. Candace did and this is why you suck. And she wanted to go off on him. And why are you like this against Dave Smith? And I mean, like, they're in the middle of, like, they just had the thing happen with Iran. And Nick literally thought he was coming on to talk to Candace, who's questioning the Jews. And they were going to talk about the politics in Iran and, the global situation with Israel. And then she's just attacking him. And like, how come you're not married? And why are you like this? And you.
So, but what I'm saying is, you're saying there's the man and his message, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying they were attacking the man and not questioning the message. But I don't think it's a very sophisticated thing. But to say that, like, you joke around on Rumble, of course, that's going to be true. And then you present yourself a certain way when you're doing a mainstream interview. I think that's normal, and I think he should have owned it. What I think Nick's mistake was saying, no, I am the guy joking around. I stand behind the jokes. Like, why? But I think he was pressured by his base to say, no, flip off the old man. And I think that's a mistake. Whether or not, like, it's a mistake to say, like, if someone catches you, like, putting a swastika in the bathroom, to say, like, yeah, I'm a Nazi. What you say is, I'm angry. I don't really mean this. Like, I don't really want a Holocaust to happen, but, like, I'm angry because I got a bad grade or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Or you just say, yeah, I'm doing this because fuck you and your stupid fucking bathroom.
Right. I mean, but I do think when Nick is joking around with his audience, there's like some kind of like, we're sick of hearing about the Holocaust. And then when he cleans it up, he's gonna, you know what I mean? But like he's like, okay, I'm gonna do the bathroom routine in front of Piers and just stick up my middle finger, which is, I think, stupid. I think the idea of saying I clean it up for me, I am a person who uses my speech in a way that's appropriate to the context is fine. I don't see why you wouldn't say, okay, like, yeah, I was joking around. But he's like, no, I wasn't joking around. You see what I'm saying? I am a racist. It didn't make any sense.
Let's see.
But I don't think Nick knows whether he's joking or not. I think sometimes he's clearly joking, like the whole Hitler was a pedophile. Well, he was also a pretty cool guy. Okay, yeah, that's obviously a joke. But sometimes I don't think he knows whether he's joking or not.
No, I don't think he's joking.
Yeah, he's
not. I think when he's saying Hitler was pretty fucking cool, I think he's not joking, and I think he's right. But that doesn't mean you don't add. Of course, he was horrible in many ways, but he was like fashion-wise and in terms of like organizing events that are impressive. He was a pretty cool guy. But like in the same sense, Stalin is a cool guy because like he was able to maintain power despite like himself being uncharismatic. But that doesn't make you. Of course, you don't just say Stalin was a cool guy or he was an amazing leader.
Why? Because it's politically incorrect?
No, because it's not true. He was a horrendous leader, and he killed millions of his own people in pursuit of policies that were utterly stupid. He was an idiot.
But why do we have to couch he was cool with? But of course, he did things that weren't cool. Of course,
you don't have to. But well, I'm saying if you loved, there are people who are Stalinites who say like that was the golden age of. Like,
the thing is, Nick's not even a big
all time.
The thing is, Nick's not a big Hitler guy, and so they want to bring up Hitler because Hitler is it's like a gotcha. It's like, what do you support? You're not against Hitler? What are you, an evil Satanist? What are you, some kind of psychopath?
But
so
I think he's even less of a Stalin guy. I don't think he's much of a Stalin guy.
He's more of a Stalin guy than a Hitler guy.
True.
What he's more of a Stalin guy than a Hitler guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, Nick is.
You could ask him.
He likes...
Nick advocates for communism?
No, it's not about the ism. It's about the man and the industrialization of a feudal empire into a space race contender within a generation. He admires Stalin's ability to do that and the way he led the nation for decades.
I think he's saying he's a fascinating historical figure.
Yeah.
That's different than saying he's a cool guy. I mean, Genghis Khan is a fascinating historical figure. Nero is his fascinating historical figure, but like you're saying, oh, well, you have to say Nero was also crazy and was a murderer because of political correctness. I mean, that's like saying there aren't enough things that you can say that are politically incorrect. You have to like, you have to disagree that like these terrible authoritarian leaders in the 20th century, you have to say they're cool, and like I'm not even going to say that there was any problems. Like it's so retarded. That's like why not say hey, you know, Dahmer was based. Like it's stupid, of course. It's not that it's like, well, you have to, because you're politically correct, you have to also say he murdered 19 young men.
But the thing is that people don't bring up Dahmer, but Dahmer is not something that Jews and their shills put up as a shield, which is actually an attack. Like they attack your character by bringing up this issue and demanding that you take a knee on this issue in order to signal to them that you are subservient to their narrative.
Yes, okay, but Big Tech, don't you realize?
I understand that, but by not taking a knee, you're also allowing their frame.
Yeah, you're playing into their game.
Let's say a guy who I hate my parents. Whatever my parents do, usually my dad says he's into, I'm into the opposite. Right. Well, you're still a daddy's boy. You're still defined by your father.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Whether
but it's
you agree with him or disagree with him, you're allowing him. So saying like, hey, Piers, I know what would go up your ass.
But instead of trying to
just
make
for the sake of going up your ass, I'm going to say it, shows that you're giving him the framing.
Yeah.
All right, so that we can move on, I just need you to acknowledge that Hitler is a different issue, right? It's specifically to this moment and to the Jewish thing. Hitler is the boogeyman of the Jews did nothing wrong narrative.
No, listen, wait, let me just say this really quickly. If the mainstream says Hitler was a monster and you say Hitler was a pretty cool guy, you're playing into their polarity game. When you could say Hitler had some flaws and some good sides and like
Yeah,
have a balanced
but Nick does
take.
say that.
Well, no, in this interview,
he was pretty cool,
he says
and,
he was pretty
leaving it at
fucking
that
cool and stands by it. Which is basically saying I like the guy, which is not a very nuanced take. So you're playing into this thing of either
even
he was
Kanye
cool or
only
he's a
said
monster.
something which all Christians have to say. I love Hitler. He's just saying, like, as a Christian, you have to love everyone. So he was just playing with like the language.
No, but he was also saying that he really loved Hitler.
Right, but I mean, I think his thing there was like, we have to love all people, including Hitler, which is absolutely true.
Yeah, he was sort of couching it in that, but he's actually.
But Nick
like,
didn't do that.
gigantic
He didn't say,
fan
as a
of
Christian,
Hitler.
As a Christian, I love Hitler. He wasn't saying that. He was just saying Hitler is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, what he was saying is,
I'm
I
tired of
reject.
acting like he's not.
What he was saying is, I reject your tone policing attempt at making me cuck to this Hitler question. I resent you, and I resent your questioning of this. I don't give a
Right,
fuck.
but then why
that
not
you
say
think,
that?
And
Why
I
not
like
say
who I
that?
like.
Why
Well,
not
it was
say
said
that?
without being said. He said it in a classy way. I think. I actually like
It's
that.
classy to
And
say
I
Hitler is
think
pretty fucking cool.
no, I'm
Sounds
saying
like
that
a
the message.
teenager.
All right.
Let's
Rather than trying to persuade you, let's keep
Let's
going.
run the clip. Let's run the clip.
Well, this racism thing, which comes up first, perfect example.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's go.
You tell me.
Saying you fear it's going to be very hostile, it's going to be an ambush, all those kind of things. I don't intend it to be overtly hostile. I don't intend to ambush you. I intend it to be an examination of what you said on the record, an examination of what you believe or what you say you believe, and an examination of what your rising popularity says about the state of the conservative movement in America. So those are my goals from this interview. What are your goals? Why are you doing it?
I thought it'd be interesting. And, you know, you've talked a lot about me on your show over the years, and this is the first time you actually extended the invitation. I think it might be the second, actually. I think we talked about doing it during A24 a few years ago, but you've talked a lot about me with the panel, and now you've extended the invitation to talk to me. And I think it'd be interesting for me to maybe clarify some positions and maybe get to know you a little better as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
There is a belief that you have two personas. There's one that you roll out now for podcasts and for shows like mine, where you come across as reasonable. And then there's your show on Rumble, where you often come across as having, you know, a very unreasonable view on things. This is what Coleman Hughes said about you.
Nick Fuentes knows exactly what he's doing. He is consciously playing this double game as part of a long-term strategy to become popular enough to take the reins of power, at which point he plans to pivot towards the extreme and unpopular policies that he advocates daily on Rumble.
So first of all, what is your response to that?
Well, first of all, I would say that Coleman Hughes is a propagandist. He works for the Free Press, which is run by Barry Weiss. So I think you have to consider the source. And Barry Weiss is a pro-Israel partisan. Free Press is just bought out by CBS for $150 million by Larry Ellison or his son David Ellison. And so I think that's coming from a particular point of view. We can't pretend like that's coming from a vacuum or from some fixed position. That's coming from a propaganda outlet that's in favor of Israel. That's first. But second, I would say he is right about the two personas. And I think that everybody understands this on some level. On my show, I make jokes and I use rhetoric and I'm hyperbolic because for a long time, I had an audience that was small on these like dissident platforms. I was on D Live for many years. A lot of people don't even know what that is. And so I had a small following and we had sort of like an in-group sense of humor and memes and things like that. And you talk about it one way on a freewheeling live stream when I'm by myself and I'm ranting and we make jokes and we play devil's advocate. We play with different positions. But then when you sit down.
I just want to say, like, about this jokes thing. Like, I just don't really, like, I don't know what to say. I understand you make jokes with your fans that you wouldn't say to a bigger audience. But he's just not really sure what his jokes are and are not. Because, for example, this J.D. Vance thing, J.D. Vance married to this Indian woman, Nusha or whatever, he both jokes about it and is sincerely racist towards her for being Indian. And he's not clear. I mean, would you agree? He's not clear.
I think the term racist is
whether it's
unclear,
a joke or not.
actually. I think that you're just using a term that's sort of nebulous and needs to be disambiguated because
Okay, well, what term would you use it? I'm saying disliking her and saying J.D. Vance should have married a white woman because she's Indian. No?
Do you think he dislikes her?
Because she's Indian, yes. He thinks...
I think he sees her as a race traitor.
He sees J.D. Vance as a race traitor.
Yeah, him as a race traitor.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean he dislikes her as a person and he's a hateful of Indians person on an individual level. He's not, oh, fuck you, you fucking Jeep bitch, get out of my face. He just doesn't want her in the White House. Nick,
why not? Because she's
lady
Indian?
To the vice president.
That is racist. Indian? That's racist. I'm sorry. That's racist.
India is a country.
Well, Indians are technically Aryans, I believe.
So the point is, like, Nick sees.
Yeah, but
Usha
is a U.S. citizen. India being a foreign country, she was born in America.
So are you a race blind retard?
No, Usha's Indian, but she's not from India. She's not
she's
tied
from
to a foreign
the
nation.
Same race as white people, though. Technically, right? It's Indo-European race.
All right, let's not split hairs so far that they're not hairs anymore. The point is.
Well, do you think she's of a different race than?
Yes,
Europeans.
She's brown. Yeah, she's brown. She's a brown.
Race is not color of skin. There are dark-skinned Italians.
Yeah, she's brown. She's brown Indian. So, but the point is, look. See, this is
She's
why
not
I say
a member
race.
of a different race. What race is she a member of?
Let's drop the word race for a second, okay? And insert a disambiguated term like gang. I prefer that one. And Nick, I think, like me. Actually, I think we align on this. Nick is aware that the different people groups that we call races or nationalities or ethnic communities or whatever, essentially, even religions as well, there's different ways of categorizing people into different cliques and clans and cultures and traditions and interests. They're basically representing different interests. And so there's something like a gang war going on in the culture and in the politics.
Yeah, but
when you have
Fuentes
somebody
said
from
that J.D.
essentially
Vance's marriage to an Indian woman was a betrayal of white identity and that he should not represent conservative values.
Well, I just want to ask one question. Then
he's
I'll
basically married to someone from a different gang.
She's not from a different thing. She's an American.
Grace. Okay, so you're not gonna. Okay, I'm saying if Big Tech, if you and me are in prison, okay, and prison, it's like the Mexicans, the blacks, and the whites. Okay, you and me are going to be on the same gang. We don't have any choice, even if I don't like one of us. Okay, we're gonna have to protect each other. But what I'm saying is, if an Indian guy, but if an Indian guy is in the prison cell, like a prison block, who does he go with? I'm just saying, I don't even know.
He goes with the others, not with the whites.
So the Mexicans take him?
No, there's others. There's a clique of others.
The blacks?
In California, that's how it is. In California, there's the blacks, the whites,
everybody else,
the Latinos, and the others. That's for the Chinese, the Asians, the Native Americans. If you're some other, but you're not riding with the car. You're not riding with the white boys. You're not a Peckerwood if you're not white.
I would say, generally speaking, in our world, like the Indians hang with the whites because they go to the same schools. They're the doctors. They have the same. They're seen as white.
Not well. That's wrong.
White adjacent, let's say.
Yeah, like
I think they're
Asians.
whiter than fucking Eastern Europeans in my experience.
That's not the right way to view.
But wait.
America.
Big Tech, you're not. My original point is, Nick both jokes about him being married to an Indian woman and says like it's just a joke, it's a joke, and I don't care about Indian jokes. But then he also legit believes that being married to an Indian woman means that you're a traitor to conservatism, and he blends the two and is not
white?
clear.
Is a Turkish person white?
The nature of a joke is not that it's untrue. Jokes often are funny because they're true, and it's funny that you said the quiet part out loud that we all know is true, but it's politically incorrect or culturally taboo to say.
So if
and
somebody
you said
says,
it in
if somebody says,
overstatement in order to make it palatable,
if somebody
to
says
say the truth that most people don't say.
But this is the most dumbed down version of what Nick does. If somebody says, well, everybody knows women shouldn't vote, they suck. And somebody goes, wait, do you really mean that? And he goes, no, it's a joke.
Yes.
But I don't think women should vote. That's not clear, dude. That's not clear. That's basically what he does with all of these things.
Only if you're stupid. I mean, to be honest, only if you're dumb.
Well, is it a joke or is it real?
Those are not mutually exclusive, sweetheart.
But if you
That's what I just said to
excuse
you.
your stuff by saying it's a joke, generally what that means is I don't really mean that. But then if you say, but I do really mean it, then it's not a joke.
Okay, let me break this down for you.
Am I crazy?
Yes.
Well, you can use Andrew
Because
Wilson as
what-
a literal example.
What
of that.
he's
In
saying
one
when he says I'm
situation,
joking,
he said no.
when he's saying when
Right.
he says I'm joking, he's not saying I didn't mean that. He's saying the way that sounds when you take that clip and you don't consider the humorous nature of the way that I'm saying it, it makes me sound like insane, unhinged. It's an overstatement. It's an obtuse, overstated way of saying a truth that if you just take that clip out of the context of the humorous nature of saying things in such a way, then you might think that I'm like a maniac. But what I was saying is true, but I was saying it in a way that was intended to be edgy and funny. It's still true, but it was a joke.
Okay, let me
I was
ask you this.
joking around.
That's
When I-
just
When I said your
patently
mama's so
unclear.
fat when she sits around the house, she sits around the house. Well, yeah, your mom, she doesn't actually sit around the whole house, but your mom is fucking fat.
Well, my point to
And
Nick
maybe
is,
he
if
wasn't even
people take
saying that your
offense,
mom is actually fat. He was just punking
but
you.
if people take offense to what he says, he shouldn't say it's a joke to get out of it. He should say, no, I think that's true. Stop calling it a joke if you don't think it's a joke.
Well, that's what he does. He
Stop
says,
saying
when
I
was
just joked about calling
said, when I
JD
was
Wife's
joking
Vance a
about-
Jeet. I really do mean
So-
she's subhuman, she's Indian, she's gross, and he's a race traitor. I'm not joking. Don't play this game of like it's a joke.
Well, you
it's
don't
not
have
a
to
joke.
mean she's subhuman if to say
Yeah,
she's
that
a
he
race
doesn't-
traitor.
And she doesn't belong in American politics. And JD Vance should have white kids instead of mixed race kids named Vivek.
Okay, but like underlying this is this question is like, is Nick Fuentes and are you white supremacist in the sense that you would say that white people are genetically superior, although there are great people.
I don't
of
think
other
Nick
countries?
believes that. No, I don't think Nick believes that.
Oh, he definitely
The whites
does.
are-
In a
I don't think
commonsensical
so.
sense that like he doesn't think whites are superior to Africans.
I don't think he's saying that they were genetically superior in some sort of like absolute.
He doesn't think blacks are inclined to crime and disorder.
Well, that's not even necessarily an inferiority. It's just a difference.
How wouldn't it be?
Oh, they're better
You have
at
a group
crime.
of
then.
people.
So they're better at murder. Who's superior?
You don't think like a group? Don't you think he would say blacks can't really rule themselves?
Well, that's an unfortunate quality of their, sort of inherited culture and all that. And IQ differences and all the rest. And their nature. They just come from a different place, a different diet, different climate, different ancestry, different heritage.
Well,
They
and
just
it's-
act
you
different.
would- I mean, it's
and
just
it
what I'm
doesn't
saying is
serve.
it's
It
like-
doesn't. It generally doesn't serve them well culturally to act like the people that they came from.
What do you mean? You think there's a lot of crime in Africa?
Isn't there?
I don't think so.
No. Do you consider rape a crime?
Yes.
Let's move on.
In an interview like this one, and people ask me a
Well,
good
but
faith
actually,
question, what do you actually believe?
hold on
Well, then
before
I
we say-
clarify and I say, well, here I'm not joking.
I mean, what are
What
we
I'm
doing?
saying is like I don't think see I think most people in America and especially blacks are white supremacists. Okay, because for example, I don't think that it makes you superior to have a higher IQ, but most Americans do. And so most Americans are white supremacists because whites are obviously overall have a higher IQ than blacks.
So you're a white supremacist?
No, I'm not because I don't think IQ is a measure of superiority.
I don't think Nick does either.
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't think that's true.
Most,
Maybe I'm wrong.
Do you think
but-
most Americans think that higher intelligence makes you a better person because you can contribute, make inventions, and all the rest? Obviously,
Wait, you don't
most
think
Americans
that?
think that's true. No.
You don't think that? Why? You don't think
Because I
hierarchy
think-
can make you have better inventions?
Yes, but I don't think inventions are particularly a measure of the quality of a people.
What is that?
I think all people. Well, let me hold on a minute. So, I think that like people with lower IQ are much more grounded, much more religious, much more, in a sense, unable to like abstract themselves into crazy.
You think Nick doesn't
theories.
respect that?
No, I don't think he does.
Okay.
I
Well,
think he thinks he
I have
grew
a
up
totally
in the
different
Chicago
impression of
area.
Nick
It's
than you.
very simple. To him, the Chicago suburbs are way better than the inner
Nick's-
cities of Chicago.
Nick loves blacks and black culture. His icon is Kanye West.
Kanye West is not really black. I'm sorry. He's a white black guy. Give me a break.
He's a upper middle
He
class.
is an abstract artist. He is not a hood black
Nick
guy.
Fuentes
at all.
would not
Give me
be
a break.
comfortable around like real N.
Okay, so to you, black means hood. So to you, black means hood.
I think the essence of blackness is.
So you're a racist.
Is a certain like kind of. It's different than white suburban culture. It's like more grounded, more religious, more social, more chaotic. I don't like the suburbs. I don't think Leave It to Beaver is a good model of society. I think it's totally sick. And I think Mr. Cleaver was totally cucked by his wife and his kids, and Eddie Driscoll was the cool guy. He was the N-word, obviously, who was going to fuck them up.
I never watched.
And I'm on Eddie Driscoll's side.
But Big Tech, you're saying this IQ thing. Okay, high IQ brought us feminism, which brought us 3 million kids being aborted per year, I believe, in the U.S. by like women, right? In the U.S., like that we invented all that stuff, right? And a third of my generation was aborted. So yeah, when you get too high IQ and you start thinking you can control everything, including reproduction, you end up with like a mass genocide of my generation. I can only imagine Generation Alpha. So it does have its downsides for sure. Well, there's
here's the argument against
pros and
high
cons.
IQ. Who are the most high IQ people in the world? The Japanese, Germans, the British. Okay, so those three populations almost destroyed the world in World War II. So if IQ is better, like I do not see you think World War II was great. I think it is like the most obvious catastrophe that's ever occurred in human history. Horrendous. Blacks had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
So blacks are better.
Well, they're winning on the birth rate. They're going to take over whether we want it or not.
I think blacks have distinct advantages that whites don't. For example, you can't tell, like you just said, you cannot get a black guy to put a condom on, generally speaking.
You're like a black supremacist.
I think that's terrific.
So you're a black supremacist.
If you tell black people you want to go down with a bunch of transgenders to Africa and tell them like, hey, this is a woman, they'll just laugh. They won't even consider the possibility. Absolutely based.
So blacks are superior to whites.
They're more grounded in reality, and therefore they make a real good countermeasure. I have kids I have 6 kids of varying intelligences. I don't think the more intelligent kids are better than the less intelligent kids at all.
Which one
would never occur to me?
So which race is superior, blacks or whites?
None of them are superior.
Right now, whites have discarded like the Jews before them, have discarded the gift they were given of Christianity, and therefore are suffering as the Jews did when they missed out on the Messiah. And I absolutely think until we turn that around, we are going to suffer the fate of worse than the Jews, of being the refuse of humanity. And when the blacks, as they are, the blacks and the Asians are embracing Christianity, they shall inherit the earth. And I have no sympathy for whites who reject Christianity.
So which one's superior? Racially.
None of them. The three sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, were all equal sons.
Why does one have to be superior? I mean, you could say certain.
But right now,
certain strengths and weaknesses.
Right now, the Asians and the blacks are doing right, and whites are failing, and that's why I identify as a black man.
Amazing.
Don't get me wrong, blacks have
Is there
their
anything
problems.
worse on earth than a white woman who's imbued with feminism? No.
No, that's why I support.
They make
Andrew
Jews look like fun, decent people.
But don't get me wrong, blacks have their problems. I went to downtown Chicago for 1 hour, and I got my phone knocked out of my hand by a Shaniqua. But to be fair, my friend was antagonizing them, but I wasn't part of it. But anyway, so yes, they have their problems. Like, they were very aggressive. I don't know if that's all blacks in Chicago, but why does one have to be superior to the other? I just don't understand.
Well, you were saying that Nick's a white supremacist.
I think he's an IQ supremacist.
Which would be a white supremacist.
Well, it would be an Asian supremacist if he was honest, but he doesn't.
Yeah,
think
well, no
Asians...
one's an Asian supremacist.
Right, so he's a white supremacist. Yeah, because nobody's an Asian supremacist.
Well, let's see what Nick has to say about it.
In here, I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being rhetorical. I'll tell you precisely what I believe. As far as this idea that I'm going to get power and then turn into Hitler, that just sounds totally insane to me. I'll be honest. It just sounds insane.
True.
Do you have aspirations for political power?
Not really. I think that if I wanted to run for office, I wouldn't say a lot of the things that I say. I don't know that a lot of people would vote for me. I tend to offend everybody, even a lot of people that like me. So no, I'm a truth teller. I like to tell the truth. I like to do my live stream.
Who is Nick Fuentes? Tell me about your upbringing. I know you grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Tell me about your early years.
Or early how? Like my childhood or a little bit
your
later?
Childhood, yeah.
Well, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago in LaGrange Park, as you say. My parents are ethnics. My father's half Mexican, half Irish. My mother's Italian. And they both came from a pretty rough upbringing themselves. They both were raised by single mothers, not because of divorce, but because both of their fathers had died. They endured a lot of dysfunction. And I think that's one of the reasons they came together and they related to each other and they wanted to create a normal upbringing for their children. They wanted to have a normal family life. And so they moved out to LaGrange Park away from the city. And they raised me and my sister and really put us first. I think that's a big reason why I tend to have a lot of these family values or Christian values. My mother quit her job and stayed at home to raise us. And so I have a very close relationship with my parents, with my sister. We're a very tight family. And we grew up in a pretty idyllic town. And maybe we can sort of get into a conversation about politics from this. I loved my upbringing. My mom stayed at home. My dad was working. We're in a mostly white suburb in Chicago. I was maybe half Catholic, half Protestant. It was a baseball town. I played baseball for many years. In Chicago, we love our hot dogs. We have our baseball parade and get a hot dog. And so I love where I came from. I love the city. It's a working class city. I love the people here. They're very good, humble, down to earth, decent people. And I guess I had my political, not to jump ahead, but this is a big part of where my political awakening came from. I sort of left this bubble, if you could call it that. When I went to college in 2016, I went to Boston University. And I read a lot of things online, and I realized the country does not look like LaGrange Park. It doesn't look like Western Springs or Hinsdale or Elmhurst. It looks very different. The country's undergoing a radical transformation because of immigration. And so I saw that, and I said, this is not really a desirable change. I don't like the south side of Chicago or the west side or LA or certain parts of Boston as much as I like where I came from. And I guess that's what made me an American nationalist. I said, I want to preserve my home and the things that are familiar to me and the things I like about my home, what makes it America. So that's a little bit about my background. I don't know where you want to go with that.
Side of Chicago because of Mexicans?
Blacks.
Well, blacks aren't mass immigrating to America. It has nothing to do with immigration. He's tying two different things together. Am I wrong?
He also mentioned LA and some other places, though. You understand demographic change is happening not only because of black urbanization, but also because of Mexican immigration.
Yeah, but
and other
what I'm
places,
saying is he's
Somalian
complaining.
and-
Yeah, he's
basically-
mixing them. He's mixing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's both issues. It's happening in different places for different reasons, but the loss of white sort of heritage culture and the replacement with other ethnic culture.
Blacks have been probably a stable population in Chicago since before Nick Fuentes was born.
Right. That's what I'm
I don't
saying.
think they're moving in en masse. That happened in the 30s and 40s, probably.
Yeah, he's saying so. He grew up with a small view of what the world is like from his small area that he had familiarity with, and then he started learning about what it's like in other areas and seeing what it's like in the non-white parts of the world. And he said, you know what? We don't want more of that and less of what
I just
like.
think that's a stupid political awakening. Like, oh, you went to a city and there were black people. Whoa, out of the white suburb. Like, I don't care. Oh, I don't want more black people. Who like? I think that's a stupid political awakening story. Of course, there's more ethnic people in cities. Go back to the white suburb if that's what you preferred. I don't get it.
Yeah, you don't get it.
I mean, I was raised in the city, so I just think maybe it's a cultural thing, but I don't know. It's not appealing to me. Maybe it appeals to suburban kids.
Yeah, well, you grew
I
up
don't
in
like
a,
the suburbs.
You
I
grew up in
the
an
suburbs.
Ethiopian restaurant.
I grew up in Providence around like Italians, but there were blacks in like downtown. I just didn't grow up in the suburbs.
So you're like a deracinated. You don't really understand white culture, really.
I grew up in an all-white suburban town. I hated it.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
there
you
were
hate your-
aspects of it that were good, but it was
Yeah.
largely boring until you got a car, and then you drove. There was nothing going on in the town.
Yeah.
It was a bedroom town.
Mhm.
People didn't know their dads. Their dads worked in the city, came back at night. A lot of divorce. I think the suburbs are really boring.
I just look. Maybe it's my experience, but like my brother.
When I used to walk around by neighborhood, okay, it's different because the kids in the 70s, we were allowed to play, so it was fun. But like pretty much when you walk around at night, all you see is the blue lighted televisions in everyone's house. That's the suburbs. That's what you do. You go back to your house, you go to the supermarket, you go back to your house, you watch TV, and you die. Like that sucks.
Yeah, you want more of like a nightlife. You're a nightlife guy.
Community. Yeah, I think you should know your neighbors. Yeah, you should have a community. Yeah. And like when we lived in Providence, you did get to know your neighbors. Some of them were assholes, but like I think that's better to be either tighter or like have a homestead like the Amish and have a tight community that way. The suburbs are the worst of both worlds.
True.
Yeah.
True. Either have a tight community.
And what are those kids doing now? They're all just watching porn and playing video games and acting like Clavicular,
Yeah.
who's a total homosexual, obviously, jerking off, looking in the mirror, and like trying to put makeup on. It's crazy. That you don't get to do that if you're a white boy in the city. That's not how you roll.
Yeah, why not?
Where
Because
were
the black
you
boys
raised?
come by and say, "We're gonna go like ride around on our bikes." Probably not anymore. All the black kids
Exactly.
also are playing video
Yeah.
games, but I mean, well into the 90s, black kids were like running around, and they still, what you see them in the cities, like the few remaining ones, on their bikes, riding around, maybe causing trouble, but like, being out there in the world. The white kids are all shut up in their homes because their mommies don't want them.
I heard you saying,
to
Ben,
get
like
girls pregnant.
I thought that you're going to try to be you're trying to do like an olive branch and reach the Groypers. Is what you're saying? You think this is going to resonate with them?
Yeah, because I actually have despaired of Zoomer males. I think they are destined to be a genetic dead end. So I want to reach out to Zoomer girls and have sex with them and create a whole network of guys my age who have sex with these girls. And we just laugh at the Zoomers as they continue putting makeup on. I think there's no hope.
I just find this distasteful because I like.
And I'll be happy to. I've talked to Beardson Beardsley. He's a total homosexual. Grace asked him like 20 times, "Can you say that you love pussy?" He couldn't. He couldn't say the word breast. They're all homosexuals.
That's true.
I think Nick Fuentes is gay.
Ben's cutting out again.
If you're hanging out with Clavicular, non-ironically, you have to be gay if you think
it's my
that,
internet.
he's onto something.
Stand
yeah,
by.
you're not cutting out for me, Dad. It's Big Tech's internet. Hold on. His whole stream just froze. We're live on my end though. I have to say, rewatching this, maybe it's because of the Clav stuff or whatever, but like, I know we're not live to his chat, but like, I find this distasteful that this sheltered white kid in the suburbs is like, there's too many black people. Like, I don't care. Go back to the suburbs. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, go cuddle up in mommy's.
It reminds me so much of John. John, when we went to the urban high school, which was like a high school for nerds, but like, yeah, there were black people there. It was even number black and white and more Mexican than either side. And he was like, oh, the black kids made fun of me. W white supremacism. It's like, dude, you were just not cool. And the black kids made fun of you and the white kids did.
No.
I don't fuck with this racism thing because black kids are like maybe a little meaner or more exclusive. You know what I mean? I just don't.
Well, his thing with me is like, I was supposed to spend $200,000 extra dollars to live in a town like East Greenwich.
Yeah,
where
right.
everyone's white. I fucking hated those kids.
Right.
That I grew up with. They're fucking assholes. Suburban. That guy Clav reminds me of a suburban white kid who is like the worst type of person who no one beats up because like he's white and whites don't hit each other. In a black school, he'd get the shit kicked out of him and be called an F slur. And I'm
right.
down with the blacks.
I'm with the blacks on that one.
I would want to personally beat the shit out of that guy.
We have a super chat.
Cut
Okay,
the
guys.
fucking makeup.
Yeah, get rid of the
Stop
makeup.
being such a fucking F slur.
Oh, we do have a super chat. This guy's been bothering me for the last 10 minutes. PWR World Official says, Ben, do you remember when you gave RTU a talking to in the hotel room when he was DMing the daughter?
Yes.
That was good stuff. That was good stuff, PWR.
That's great. I'm going to take a quick break, Grace.
Okay, sure.
Because my neck needs a little...
Yeah, no problem.
But I'll be back.
Okay. Michael, you there? Dad, you're not muted. Well, whatever.
Okay, yeah. I got you.
Okay. Mikey? I think the more I watch this, like I think Nick can be funny on like women. But like what I've heard so far, I think it's a flash in the pan. I don't think that this is going to win out. I don't think his stuff on race is particularly interesting.
All right, are we back?
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know what's going on. I just lost internet completely.
Yeah, your
for a
stream
second
died.
there.
Yeah. You good? You see me? You hear me?
I don't know. Yeah, I see you. Chat, are we back?
My dad took a break. His neck has been hurting him lately. He's just going to take a break for a couple minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm ready to go, though. I'm ready to go. You want to defend
rapid
Fuentes? You want to defend Fuentes? Like, I'm disliking him the more I hear this interview. So let's go. Let's go through the interview. Come on, let's go.
Well, I mean, to be honest, Grace, no offense to you personally, but I'm not really like I don't really care if what you think of Nick. I'm not trying to like defend Nick to Grace. It's sort of like an irrelevant. Ben hit me up and told me he wanted to talk about it because he had some theories.
I know he'll be back. He just has his neck is hurting. He'll be back in 5 minutes.
We'll wait. Maybe my internet's gonna.
Why don't you care what I think? I mean, I'm a Zoomer. Well, why not?
Chat, it's stuttering, dude. What is up with my freaking stream? Maybe I'm just gonna reset my router completely. Let me call you right back.
Okay.
How about that? All right, let's reset it.
Guy's such a fucking prick, I swear to God. What a prick. Dude, this is why this is not gonna work. Such a fucking prick. But whatever. Grace can't get a word in even when Ben isn't here. Yeah, I mean, that type of misogyny is just like, that just sucks. That just sucks. Like, whatever. It is what it is, but Women are like children. They should be seen but not heard. I mean, I've argued with Big Tech so many times. I understand what he's doing. He's like trying to alpha me or whatever. Okay, like it's so insecure, dude. I cannot describe to you how insecure that is, but okay. Whatever. He'll rejoin the call, I suppose. Let's see. I'll let you know when he comes back. Well, I mean, that is misogyny. He's just saying because you're a woman, I don't want to hear your opinion. That's the only reason why. I mean, did he give another reason? He's just trying to be cool for his chat. Like, I don't want to talk to you because you're a female. Okay, incel. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Don't you agree with that shit? Do I think a female YouTuber can interact with a male YouTuber? No. No, I do not think that. He doesn't want to talk about it with you because he would lose. That should be your cope. I mean, he's welcome to defend Fuentes. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. I mean, the more I hear it, the more I'm like, this guy, I don't know, is a sheltered suburban kid who seems like maybe got bullied by black kids and didn't like it or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but like, I just don't understand. Why don't you just hang out with all white people in the suburbs? I guess that's what he does, but like, okay. And you're also mixing things because you're saying, well, I realize that our country is changing when like black people have been here since whenever the slaves came over. So like, it's not really like there's not mass immigrants from Africa coming over. You're sort of mixing the Mexican and the black thing. Your issue is really the black people. It's not really the Mexicans, but I'm so surprised why his wife left him. He seems like such a swell guy. Oh, I wonder. You're just code switching to be contrarian? Dog, give me Ricky. No, I'm not getting baited by the lesbian. No, I'm I can't say that on YouTube. I am not going to get baited by a lesbian in my chat. I think women are not great at everything, just like men are not great at everything. That does not mean I'm a misogynist, and that doesn't mean I can't think that Big Tech is a douche for saying he's not going to talk to me because I'm female. Okay, that is douchiness. Very Andrew Wilson coded. Even Andrew Wilson talks to females. You're going to get outflanked by Andy. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. Baited days are over. We back?
Are we back?
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm still getting real bad signal in my stream. What is up? We just might be cooked. I don't know.
You don't have internet in California?
Shower happening.
Oh.
Presently.
Okay, well your stream lagged. Oh no, it's back. I don't know. I mean,
it's lagging. I can see it's in the red. It's bad signal. I'm in a rural area and I don't know why it does this, but when there's bad weather, my internet gets bad. It's kind of bizarre.
Well, no, definitely.
What are you gonna do?
Okay, well, I mean, are you not gonna
cable?
Are you not gonna stream?
I'm just kind of waiting to see how it goes. Look, when I have issues like this, sometimes it's just bad for, there's just like a bad patch and then it just gets better.
That's fine.
Kind of weird.
I got nothing else going on. So why don't you want to hear my opinion on Nick? The fuck?
Well, look. Well, just look. I mean, you're a girl. I mean, straight up. I mean, basically that. And so that's that.
True.
And you're also Grace Thorpe. You're like that girl.
Correct.
And
right on the money so far.
That's basically it. Because you're a girl and you're that girl. And look, if Nick was here, you would be giggling and fanning and fawning and agreeing and like trying to like push back through a neg and all this stuff. Like, you don't actually have opinions about Nick.
That's not true.
You're a girl.
That's not true. I'm developing opinions as we're watching the video. I mean, he's of my
and that's
generation.
my point. It's like, so you have like an uninformed female opinion.
What do you mean uninformed? I don't know all of his lore.
Yeah, so if you're like getting an impression,
Neither
of
does
Nick,
my dad.
You want me to tell me your opinion?
My dad didn't even know that he was more of a Stalin fan than a Hitler fan.
That's true. Yeah, so you guys are both uninformed, but at least with Ben, I'm talking to a man. I'm a bit
Why
of a
wouldn't you want the?
misogynist
I mean,
when
I
I do that.
understand they're different perspectives, but what about the female perspective? I mean, Nick is talking to both men and women, right? Especially of my generation.
I mean, women do listen, but he's talking to men.
He's not trying to influence 50% of the population. He doesn't care. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't seriously think
Right.
that. He doesn't think like it matters to influence women. I mean, maybe
You think
he
he's
doesn't.
trying to be a influencer of women? You think he's trying to be a female influencer?
No, but I think
I know.
that he would want women to support him. No?
Well, sure. Yeah, but he's not trying to like persuade you to do that. You're fickle. You're a female. Women think about women stuff.
Like periods
You look at
and
the
makeup?
world through female eyes. He's not trying to win your vote. He's trying to activate young males.
Okay, let me ask you a slightly unrelated question, okay? And I'll reveal who this quote came from. Okay, this is. Let me just give you a quote, and you can guess who it came from. If men and women were stripped down, and women couldn't dye their hair or put makeup on or wear push-up bras or any of that, they're just stripped down naked, no makeup, no haircuts, whatever, no fillers. I think men would be the fairer sex. What do you think about that quote?
I mean, that's basically what Schopenhauer said. So I don't know who the quote was.
It's from someone you know, but what do you agree with it? Or disagree?
It just depends on how you are quantifying fair. But yeah, women are. I mean, except for except for young women, women are generally sort of, they're a little asymmetrical. They got stuff hanging off them. What do you think about the quote?
Well, let's say take age out of it. You have a 25-year-old man and a 25-year-old woman. Just the best of each category. You put them next to each other. Men are the fairer sex.
Okay.
Do you agree or disagree? It sounds like you agree, but I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, it just depends on what's your how are you categorizing it. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think the fairer
Who's the
sex
fairer?
generally
I don't know.
means
What do you think?
more beautiful, more aesthetically pleasing. I would say that's generally.
And who
how
cares?
fair-
Yeah, maybe tell me why I should care about this question. Where's this going? So I'll know how to engage with it.
Why do you need to know where it's going to engage with it? Why don't you just give me your honest opinion?
I think human bodies are repulsive. I think they're all gross.
Do you think the male body is more repulsive or the female?
I think the most beautiful statues are generally statues of men, actually.
Okay. Why?
Isn't that true?
Aesthetically, you mean? Aesthetically?
Yeah. Yeah, aesthetically.
Because the male
Like
body
a
is more
Like
aesthetically
females
pleasing?
are obviously sexually attractive to males, and that's what I'm sexually attracted to. But a female is smaller and weaker with narrow shoulders, and she's less, defined. She has less androgenic. Andro meaning man, by the way. So it's like
Right.
a male body is actually the depiction of like humanity, and then a female is sort of like humanity missing an aspect, which is the genitals, which is muscularity. They've got mammary glands hanging off of them, which are of different shapes and sizes. But the male is sort of just like the default state of humanity, and a female is like missing that. She's sort of like an inverted male. Her balls are on the inside.
Well, that's not literally true because everyone's female originally in the womb, and then if you're male, you develop the organs. So if you say humanity is male, it's actually originally all female, and then it does develop the male sex organs. But
so in a way, they're
they're
the incomplete man. So a man develops all the way, develops everything, and a woman just stays childlike.
So
Neotness.
would you say that women are incomplete men? Sounds like that's what you're saying. So like simply.
In a way.
So would you say men are more human than women?
No. No, I wouldn't say that.
Would you say they're fuller humans? Like they have more humanity?
No, that's not what human means. Human has to do with mind.
Well, like the human spectrum, like.
But when we're
what
just
a
talking
human
about
person is
the
capable
physical
of.
the physical presentation, not the inner nature of humanity. But yeah, the
I'm
physical
not saying in front of
presentation.
God. I'm not saying in front of God. I'm saying in capacity to full human experience, men are more capable of that than women.
Right, I'm getting questions on questions. Where are you going? Now's the time when you deliver the punchline.
Okay,
where's this going?
okay. So first of all, that quote is from Andrew Wilson. Secondly, you do realize, of course, that you are 100% articulating the Greek view on the sexes, right? The Hellenic view of the sexes.
Yeah, the traditional view.
Do you know what the Greeks did sexually when it comes to men and women? Yes. They said that having sex with women was similar to breeding an animal, but that sex with men was real sex because they're equals. And so they had
said
gay
that?
sex.
All the Greeks said that?
That was the typical sexual concept at the time. That was the Greeks' concept of sexuality. Yeah.
That was the average. That was just what they all
Well, you
thought.
said women don't have genitals. Greeks agreed. They said that women had unformed genitals. So like that's why they bleed, because they're not fully formed. And that the male form is complete. They said that men shouldn't talk with women. And they said that real sex is with an equal, which is a man. Men are only equal to men. And women are sort of like, useful for breeding.
What's your source? Can you cite a source on that?
Look it up. Look it up.
You look it up.
You asked for it. Look it up. Prove me wrong.
No, you're providing
That is the general Greek view.
According to you and your broad lexicon of knowledge of the ancient Greeks?
Well, prove me wrong. That is generally how the Greeks saw sexuality and the sexes.
No, I'll just let you just be wrong.
The Greeks actually had a custom of having young boys that the older men would have sex with, which is called pederasty, and they would groom the young boys into having sex with them because they saw that as real, good sex, and the women were more like animals that were necessary for breeding more men, but other than that, were sort of like, useless, and you shouldn't talk to them, and they don't have anything to contribute.
Are the ancient Greeks in the room with us right now?
You sure agree with them. I mean, you do agree with them.
She's clucking.
You do agree with them.
Yeah, she's clucking. All right.
I heard Andrew Wilson say that, and I can't help but say that if you think that if a man thinks that the male form is more aesthetically pleasing than the female form, I would say that's an indication that you're attracted to the male form. But, you could just be saying that based on aesthetics. But I personally, I said I have no other way to cope for it than to say that Andrew Wilson is attracted to men. Maybe that's not true in your case. But I was just curious. I was just curious.
Wow. That was really something, Grace.
But I mean, it makes sense of why you don't want to talk to me about Nick Fuentes,
because I'm an
unformed
it does make sense.
male. I'm unformed
It does
male.
make sense. Yeah.
So if I'm not worth talking to, I wouldn't be worth having sex with either, except for breeding. Yeah. I mean, if that's your mentality, I agree. Who cares about my opinion? I don't know if you're trolling or not, but it seems sincere. But anyways, you're not going to talk to me unless.
Well, I mean,
you're not
you
going to
just want
talk
to
to me
call
at
me
all.
a.
So
You want to like call me a pederast?
no, I don't think you do that stuff. The Greeks were pederasts. I don't think you agree
All
with
of them.
pederasty.
The Greeks, yeah, they were just pederasts.
They had that was a tradition. That was a cultural practice. You can look it up. Like that's legit true.
So then, and Catholics are pedophiles.
Some Catholic priests engage in that. Yeah.
No, I mean that's just what the Catholics do. You know what the Catholics, what the
No, the
priests
Catholics
do?
condemn that, but the
Priests.
Greeks thought it was good.
Oh,
They didn't
did the
condemn
Greeks the Greeks didn't condemn it? No, none of them did. Oh,
It was a cultural practice. It was like this is the way of the world. Women are
yeah.
to be
Who
bred.
told you that? Who told you that?
I read about it. I don't remember exactly where I read it. I watched videos about it. You can look it up. Prove me
you saw
wrong.
saw it in a video? Was it on like Reddit.com?
I don't watch videos on Reddit.
Yeah. TikTok?
Maybe you do.
Was it a YouTube short?
There's no need to get defensive. You can look it up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's my general
Why
understanding.
can't you
of
look
Greek
it up?
Culture.
Why can't you look it
Because
up? How
I
come
know
I got to
it.
do all the
If you want to
homework?
prove me wrong, you prove me wrong. Do the work. I already know it.
Why don't you want to prove yourself right? Why should I accept
Because
what you're
I
saying?
already know it because I've read about it and watched videos on it. But if you want to prove me wrong and I'm wrong about
So that's how
something,
you
go ahead
know
and
things.
correct
You
me.
watch a video and now you know that you're right.
Generally speaking, I trust like historical videos. Yeah, I might be
Historical
wrong
video.
though. I might be wrong. Videos about
might be.
historical culture. Yeah,
You want
and
to
attitudes.
you want to switch from Piers Morgan and talk about that since you brought it up?
Go. You want to find a video about the Greeks' view of sexuality and the two sexes? Go ahead. Yeah, we could look. We can
Yeah, I
watch it
got
right
one.
now. Okay, bring it up.
Yeah, let's do it. Hold on a second. Hold on a second there, Piers. Let me screen share again. Yeah, we could do that. We'll just shift. Since Ben dipped, this was Ben's idea, by the way, to do this stream.
Well, he'll be back.
I
He's
understand
only
his
been
neck
gone for
hurts.
like 10 minutes. His neck is hurting. He'll be back. Okay, wait. Let me watch stream. Okay.
Let's see.
Leather Apron Club. What is this?
I bring a message from your master.
Wait, hold on. Pause.
Marcus.
This title says ancient Romans were not gay. I'm not talking about the Romans. Greeks was
Yeah,
different. Greeks were a different culture.
Totally different.
They were different.
So let's watch the video.
Licinius
This isn't about
Crassus.
Greeks.
This video isn't about Greeks?
It says ancient Romans were not gay. I don't really know about the Romans. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't.
So you don't want to know what's in the video? You don't want to see it?
But this isn't about what we were talking about.
How do you know you haven't seen it? You just saw the title.
Because the title is about Romans.
Right.
Those are two different cultures. I mean, the Greeks came up with philosophy.
So let's see if I'm right
culture.
that he talks.
Spartans
Let's
were
see if
totally
he talks
different.
about.
The Romans were
Are you
warrior
willing to
people.
watch this? Are you really? So he didn't say Greeks and Romans. So you don't want to watch the video?
Okay, maybe it's about Greeks. Okay, but okay.
Maybe. Let's check it out.
Commander of Italy, by command of his most merciful excellency, your lives are to be spared. Academics you were, and academics you remain. But the terrible penalty of crucifixion has been set aside on the single condition that you simply admit that not literally every single person in ancient Rome was gay.
Sounds like he's talking about Rome to me.
They weren't. They were all gay. 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 They were all gay.
He enjoyed being the receiver in relationships with men.
They were all gay. They were all gay. All of them gay.
Records show that Roman men were free to seek the company of another man without any consequences.
The ancient Romans were so liberal about their sexual adventures that they did not even have a word for homosexuality.
This isn't really like an educational video, and it also isn't about Greece. Okay.
Rumors abound, especially online, about homosexuality in the ancient world. I'm sure you've seen them. small snippets from a historical treatise, or a detail about a Roman emperor's life shared as a meme. If you see enough of these things online, it could start to give you the impression that maybe being gay wasn't all that uncommon back then. Today we'll be going into great depth about this topic, establishing a full landscape and context from which to properly understand it, and we will be looking at ancient Rome in particular. I hope to give you all enough information in this video so that by the end you will have a complete understanding of their
Bro's gonna
societal
fact
attitudes
correct me
towards
on
the
Greece
topic,
by showing me a video about
commonplace
Rome.
it was, and
Okay.
what sort of places it may have occurred, and overall, I aim to show you through ample historical reference
Do you
that
know the difference
homosexuality was
between
neither
Rome and
very
Greece?
commonplace nor ever accepted at any point in ancient Rome. Now, my motivation in making this video is primarily to correct the historical record. For decades, academics bemoaned the fact that ancient homosexuality was ignored or systematically suppressed by the stuffy scholars of yesteryear. They believed that the more conservative sensibilities of the past prevented an honest discussion of the issue, and to an extent they may be right. In my experience, translations from say before the 1970s would often leave passages which were too sexual or scatological untranslated. Fundamentally, they believed that these older scholars were interpreting Rome through their own contemporary lenses, ignoring the inconvenient or the uncomfortable. But in trying to right this wrong, modern scholars have ironically made the exact same mistake, going way too far in the opposite direction and overemphasizing ancient homosexuality. They attempt to paint Rome as a progressive place in which being gay was commonplace and even accepted. So much like how these older scholars were interpreting Rome through their own contemporary lenses, modern scholars take our own society's acceptance of homosexuality and apply it to ancient Rome, and we end up with a myriad of popular misunderstandings for it. I will therefore be arguing against this idea that homosexuality was accepted or commonplace at any point in ancient Rome, so that I can push back against this hopefully temporary overcorrection of scholarship. And now that brings me to clearly defining the question of the video. Despite the title, we're not actually going to be asking, were the ancient Romans gay like how modern homosexuals are gay? That's a boring question. The answer is no, and everybody, even the pro-gay scholars, agree upon that. The Roman homosexuals that did exist and modern gays have almost nothing in common. Instead, we're going to be asking the much more pointed question. To what extent did male-on-male relationships occur in ancient Rome, and did the Romans, by and large, view them as unproblematic? And these are the two criteria to which I will constantly be referring back: how commonplace it was, and how accepted it was. I will be showing through hundreds of references to primary documents that, at least in ancient Rome, it was likely neither. And a note on those citations. They are extremely extensive in this video, including literally hundreds of quotes. But as I don't want to make this video unwatchable, whenever I have multiple historical or scholarly references which support a point that I'm trying to make, I will put on the screen and read only a handful. And I will put in a citations document that you can see in the video description many more quotes which support that same point. So for anyone who wants to really dive deep into the subject, I recommend watching the video with that citations document open, and you can look them up as we go along. Anybody else, just sit back and enjoy. Now, right off the bat, we need to establish some background knowledge and set up some caveats that we will need to be aware of in this discussion. Otherwise, it's all too easy to get a false sense of understanding, or to fall into...
Are you basically saying that Rome and Greece were similar enough ancient cultures that this video applies to the Greeks? Is that your basic argument as to why we should watch this?
You brought up the concept of pederasty, which was an ancient Hellenistic world, excuse me, practice. You cited no Greeks in particular. You just said ancient Greece. This is a video about the ancient world, which is Greece and Rome, which is like the
This is a video about Rome.
aspect.
This is a video about Rome specifically.
You know, Greece was part of the Roman Empire?
But I'm just saying there were very different cultures. Like lots of different nations and stuff were under the Roman Empire, but that doesn't mean they were all Roman cultured.
So what year did
the
that
Jews
quote
were
come
part of
from?
the Roman Empire, but they weren't Romans, were they?
So, well, the Apostle Paul was literally a Roman.
Yeah, I understand that until he became a Christian, but that's not really a response to my
he
point.
Was still a Roman.
I'm just saying, I was bringing up, this is like...
You just said Jews weren't Roman. I mean, at one point, yeah, they were. There was plenty of Roman Jews. So Roman is in reference to the ancient world.
What I'm saying is
when
just
he's
because
saying
somebody...
Roman, he's talking about the time of the imperial Rome. And
what
that's
I'm
also
saying
the
is just
same time that
yes,
you're saying that the Greeks
I
were
understand that. I understand that. But what I'm saying is the Roman Empire covered a lot of different cultures and stuff. That doesn't mean that they were all participating in the exact Roman culture that this guy's talking about. I was talking about a different culture, which was the Greek culture at the time. But
yeah, which was wildly different than the Roman culture at the time.
The Greek Empire became the Roman Empire.
Isn't that so? Then what are we talking about?
But it was different before. But like whatever. If you just want to say, hey, you brought up Greece, here's a video about Rome. Okay, then fine.
So what were the name of the
this
Greek?
retarded thing.
Tell me, who were the gods in ancient Greece?
Wasn't it Zeus, Hera, Artemis, Hades, those Hercules? No, Hercules was a man deity, whatever.
So who are the gods in ancient Rome?
I don't know.
Amazing. So you know the ancient Greek gods, but you don't know the ancient Roman gods.
That's right. I'm not a nerd about ancient culture gods. No.
Based.
The trap of analogizing totally alien Roman practices with modern day ones, when in reality they have nothing but a surface level commonality. So now, first caveat, and if you remember anything, remember this one. It is impossible to know for a certainty what Roman society would have thought of what we call homosexuality. Not only are we, of course, separated by time and cultural distance, but the Romans actually wrote very little about sexuality at all. What has been written about Roman sexuality in the modern age is gleaned from hundreds of different works, most of which only very tangentially mention the topic at all. And references specific to homosexuality are even more rare. Historians are attempting to reconstruct something as complicated as what millions of people across a huge time period
hold on,
thought
Big
about
Tech.
the rather niche topic of male-on-male sex. So just keep that in mind.
Pause the
We're trying
video.
to build a rather complicated jigsaw puzzle here, and we're probably
the
missing
video.
90% of the pieces. Another
Do you know what the Roman gods were?
Yeah, they're the same gods.
What were their names?
In Greece, he was called Zeus. In Rome, they're called Jupiter. It's the same god.
Give me a couple more.
It's the same ones. Aphrodite was Venus. The Apollo and Mars are the same. It's like we have. It's basically they're an analog.
Okay, so I was right. So
You're
it was
saying-
Greco-Roman. So the Greeks became the Roman Empire. It's still a different. It's a different culture, though.
So it's the same culture, but it's different.
No, the Romans adopted the Greek gods. How are you this thick, dude?
The Romans adopted.
Isn't that what you just said? That they took those names and just changed them, but they were the same basic concept?
So you're saying it's an extension of the same culture.
No, they
So it's an
adopted their
imperial
gods as a different
manifestation.
culture. You okay? No, you know what? Why do we even have the names Rome and Greece? We should just call it all just ancient world. Why is there scholarship about different cultures?
Which is what he's
Who
doing
cares?
in
Yeah,
this
no.
video. We're talking
It
about
doesn't
a
matter.
time period
Rome,
in a region.
Greece, Italy. The difference between Italy and Greece. It's just the same. It's the same thing. I don't even know why we distinguish between them. Continue the video, please.
So your point is that you're right because
They were centuries apart. That's my point.
So your point is that the Greeks were gay and the Romans weren't.
I'm just saying I don't know a lot about the Romans. So if you're going to fact check me on something I said about the Romans, newsflash, I didn't say anything about the Romans.
So you're saying pederasty in Greece was real, but in Rome it wasn't?
I don't know about Rome. But you're going to fact check me about Rome when I didn't say something about Rome. I don't know. My opinion, I think the Romans were much more barbarians.
You brought up like no citation. You just
Okay, and you're bringing up a guy who's quote mining about Rome. That's really your response
you brought
to
up
me
Andrew
talking about
Wilson saying he's gay because he agreed with the ancient Greeks that the males.
Yeah,
were the more
because the
aesthetic
ancient
sex.
Greeks engaged in gay cultural practices because they thought men were better than women, and so equal sex was with men and not with women.
So you don't know that same story is true about Rome.
Okay, if you want to say the Romans were gay too, I'm not sure what you're correcting me on. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe, maybe not. What is your point in showing this video?
You know what? I guess there's no point. You're right. Ancient you know what? I'll just give it to you. Ancient Greeks were gay and they just loved fucking boys. And that means Andrew Wilson and me are both gay boy fuckers too.
Well, that's not exactly what I was saying. What I was saying is they had your mentality
were you
about the
saying?
aesthetics and the humanity of men versus women. And they thought women were unformed, like you said. And they thought men were more aesthetically pleasing and more beautiful than women. And they also thought women didn't really have genitals, like you said. And that led to them developing a culture, the gymnasium culture, which was condemned by the Jews in the Bible, that led to them developing this culture of having sex with men because men were equals, because they were both capable of maximum humanity, whereas women were more for breeding. I mean, I think that's a pretty clear point. Am I saying you're gay? Not necessarily. I'm just saying that's what that led to.
And I disavow ancient Greeks.
But you agree with them as far as men and women. Maybe not with
No,
gay
but it's
sex,
important
but
that
as
I
far
have
as
to
men and women.
disavow them. Like you said that Nick should disavow Hitler, I disavow Greeks. because there was some good, but there was also a lot of bad. So I disavow.
Okay, you disavow the roots of modern philosophy. I'm the roots of all philosophy. I'm not saying you should disavow the Greeks.
I mean, there's some good about them, but they were gay boy fuckers, so I got to disavow.
Okay. And you think that you're smarter than me because you're male and I'm female? Like, you think you're winning this argument because you have
No, I think you're winning.
A penis?
You're making some really good points that are important.
Thank you. I am. Yes. I'm not. You're being overly defensive. I'm not necessarily saying you're gay. I'm just saying you have the same attitude towards the sexes that a predominantly gay culture had. Or not even predominantly, but like a culture that thought gay sex was real sex had. You have the same opinion. You have the same
then I disavow.
View of the sexes.
Then
That's
I'm
the
correct.
only point I'm making. You had a wife. I don't think you're gay.
Then I should switch to having your view.
Okay, I win. You listen to a woman
Yeah.
get dunked on.
You happy now? You seem happy.
Not really, because you're obviously being disingenuous, but like, whatever, if you just want to be defensive and
No, that was a really
troll.
good point and relevant. And it was.
Wait, let me just follow up on just one little thing you said. You said women don't really have genitals. Do you think women have genitals?
Not on the outside. Not
Right.
in the same way that men's do.
Right. That's why we're different sexes, but do they have genitals?
Yes, obviously they have genitals.
So why did you say women don't really have genitals?
I don't think I said they don't really have genitals. That's retarded.
You said something like that. Like you said men
I
have
said that they're on the inside. They're not displayed.
Okay. So do you think it's better to have displayed genitals?
No, I think it's better to have them on the inside.
Well, what about the secondary sex characteristics like breasts? Men don't have those.
Yeah, I think that's better too. It's better to have milk bags hanging off your chest.
Milk bags? You don't think that's like animalistic?
You're right. Our bodies are not animal.
Well, I don't call
I mean, only
penises,
cows
I
have
don't
milk
call
bags.
testicles
Women have
semen bags, but you could.
right. They're not udders. They're breasts. You're right.
Well, do you think labia are genitalia? Part of women's genitalia?
No, I reject. I don't believe in labia.
Because those are
Labias
external.
Labias are just malformed scrotums.
Well, no, the scrotum would be the ovary because that has the egg.
No, that would be the gonad.
The
scrotum
gonads
is the
are
skin.
testicles.
The
It's the same
scrotum is
synonymous.
the skin. The ovary would be akin to the testicle. The scrotum is the skin.
Okay. Okay. All right. Another question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said milk bags. Do you think that breasts are aesthetically pleasing?
To me, yeah, but because I'm a pervert, and when I see him, I go a boing boing boing.
So
I
why
go,
did you describe them as like
yoing.
okay? So why did you describe them as like lopsided milk bags?
Well, sometimes they are. They're not all created equal.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I can't tell whether you're being. I don't think you're being serious, but like you did answer my question about the quote seriously, so I don't know what to think. But you know, I'm just a stupid woman after all, so.
Yeah, I think you made your point that Andrew Wilson's gay.
That was my original point. I was going to ask you if you thought that quote was gay, but then you agreed with it, so then I had to take it in a different direction.
No, I think it's gay, and Andrew Wilson's gay, and ancient Greeks are all gay, and I disavow. Because I'm anti-gay. I'm based and straight.
Okay.
Women are the aesthetic sex.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good talk.
Yeah.
This is why I don't talk with women.
Yep. I like to see a nice, healthy woman. She's curvy and thick. She's got big old floppers on her. When I think of a statue, I'm thinking, show me a statue of a woman with 5 children. Not a man with 5 children. Gross. Show me that mom.
Well, I don't even really think Nick agrees with this take. I've heard Nick's takes on women. It's pretty reasonable. He's like, yeah, you know, they're both equal under God, but men are better at certain things and women are better at certain things. I wonder how he would answer that question. Are men, if you remove women's makeup and fillers and hair dye and clothes and push-up bras, are men the fairer sex? Truly the fairer sex? You agree with that. Andrew Wilson agrees with that. I wonder what Nick would say. Maybe he'd say yes.
I haven't given it a whole lot of thought, to be honest. I don't really think about that a lot. Who's the fairest? I'm not an aesthetics guy. But
Well, I mean, you just went
Greeks
into
were.
how women don't have muscles and they have milk bags and men are sturdier and they have external genitalia and, you know, you may not have thought about it, but you went into some pretty extensive detail about it.
Yeah, because I'm familiar with the argument that they were making. And like I referenced, Schopenhauer had a very similar argument. And he was he was a German, like way after the Greeks. So it's something that has been spoken about and everything. But I don't write symphonies. I don't carve sculptures. I'm not an aesthete. I just know what they had to say about it. And you brought them up.
Can I what?
No, and you brought them up. So I was just representing their position.
Well, I'm just looking it up. Schopenhauer says that women are only called to fairer sex because of physical appearance. He rejects the idea that women are morally, intellectually, or rationally superior or even equal to men. So he does agree that women are more physically pleasing or beautiful than men. He just doesn't think that they are smarter or more moral or rational. He actually doesn't have your point of view.
Which ancient Greek was saying that men are the better looking sex?
I don't know. I don't have a quote from anyone on that. Do you agree with Schopenhauer?
Just saying I'm familiar with his take. That's it. That was my point. People had their different reasons for looking at it different ways, is all I'm saying. And the ancient Greeks were in a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's either Nick Fuentes or I continue asking you about your views on men being more beautiful than women. So
let's go with Nick. See if you can get Ben to come back.
My first obvious question is, were your parents immigrants to the United States, or were their parents, or were their grandparents? In other words, at some stage, I presume there were immigrants in your family who came to the US. Is that correct?
There were. I believe my mother was 4th generation and my father was 3rd generation. So their ancestors came here on my mom's side in the 1860s, I believe, the first wave of Italian immigration. My father's ancestors, I think they came around the turn of the century in 1900.
So your view of immigration, and we'll get to the specifics about your views on immigration, are they not affected at all by the fact that if it wasn't for immigration, you wouldn't exist as an American?
Well,
dude, internet again.
Your stream is still going.
Oh my goodness. I see it's dropping down to the red. I'm getting a disconnect. Is the stream still going to chat? Let me know over there. Yeah, I'm getting F's in the chat.
Oh yeah, no, it just totally dipped.
Rip.
Wait, give it a second.
Yeah, we're going to give it a second.
It's not black anymore. It's just loading. Brutal. You should. Oh, I can. If the video is taking too much, I can stream it. If it's taking too much of your bandwidth.
No, it looks like I'm back now.
Oh
I'm
no,
just
you're
having,
back. You're back.
Just having the hiccup that my connection has sometimes.
I would certainly exist, but like you said, maybe not as an American. Certainly that's influenced in some measure But I think that the kind of immigration that we had for a long time in the country, it's different than the immigration that we have now. And let's just say for openers, it's different immigrants. They're coming from a different place with a different culture, a different religion. It's not the same as it was. So first, you have a qualitative difference.
Wait, can you
My
just pause right there?
ancestors, for the most part,
I understand
Yeah.
this doesn't apply to the non-Mexicans, but like the Mexicans are the largest group of immigrants that are coming in, right? Isn't that generally true?
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
most of those Mexicans are Catholic or come from a Catholic culture. So he, as a Catholic, should not be opposed to that on the premise of religion. I mean, I think that's a fair point to make. Like the
I don't
more
think he's
Catholics, the
opposed
better in
to their
America.
religion.
Well, he said these immigrants have a different religion, but like the biggest group of immigrants doesn't have a different religion.
Well, the American religion isn't Catholic, and he's talking about the national issue. And so,
Well,
is
it's
a nuance
Christian though. I mean, it's
between
generally
the thick and
Christian, and they're Catholics. So they're Christians, but they're specifically Catholics, and he's specifically Catholic. So, what would be the problem there?
You heard him say that it was a different culture and religion, right? So they have a different way of practicing the religion, and that's from their different culture. So,
Sure. Mexican
I don't think he's
Catholicism is going to
opposed
be
to their-
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But okay, this last thing I'll say, his argument that the problem with immigrants is that they have a different religion than Americans, when the majority of them are Christians and America is, on its face, a Christian country, it's not really a good point. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Hey, Ballon, welcome back.
Hey, sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'll hear you okay.
All right. Grace, are you still there?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I see you fine. I hear you fine.
Okay, I saw you guys got in something with the ancient Greeks and Romans.
We did.
Yeah.
He agreed with Andy, and then took it back.
Okay, so
do you think it was predominant that the ancient Greeks were gay? Was that your impression too?
I think they were misogynists. Like from today's perspective. From their perspective, that it was just how they saw things. I think we would say, from a Christian point of view, that they were misogynists, and that there was a kind of, I don't think the term would be gay, but like, I do think it's an inevitable thing if you say men are superior to women, that you're going to say that being with men is better than being with women, and that is problematic, don't you think?
Yeah, totally.
Because it will tend, like Schopenhauer, you're talking about Schopenhauer. He in his later life expressed over and over again same-sex attraction, which kind of makes sense if he thought women sucked.
Is that true? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. He didn't act on it, but like he had like real longings sexually towards men, which would make sense if you think men are better than women, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that about Schopenhauer. I didn't know that.
Well, that's what I
maybe that's true.
Understand.
Didn't know
but
that.
What I'm saying is it's kind of inevitable in a hyper masculine culture where you prize everything male. You're going to have a lot of homosexuality because men are better at being hyper masculine than women, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Like
they were a very different culture. So yeah, a lot of their sexuality, there was it was orgiastic, right? They were Dionysian and things like this. They would have ecstatic ceremony. They would do orgies. They looked at sex very differently than through sort of like a straight monogamous. They looked at it as something sort of ritualistic and spiritual, and they didn't have the same type of social mores and taboos and all of that.
We're talking about Schopenhauer?
I'll be right back.
No, I'm talking about the ancient world. Yeah, the ancient world.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's like I think it's just inevitable in any world if you say that men are better than women, which I don't think they said excessively, but like if you get really into that, it's gonna get gay quick. Don't you think?
Yeah, but it's a little ambiguous again. I mean, I think you're probably right, but when we say gay, we don't mean two guys being super masculine together. We don't even really mean like Brokeback Mountain or something like that. We mean like men basically becoming feminine.
Oh no. I think homosexuality is more complicated than that. I used to have that view that it's like sissies, but that's only one part of gay culture. There's also a hyper masculine part. There's a whole culture of like bodybuilding. When I was a kid, I think it used to be like a hetero thing, Schwarzenegger and all that stuff. Like it was sexually weird, but like it was like it. But now it's pretty much a gay culture, which is understandable because if you sort of worship the male physique, I mean, aren't you going to?
Is that true that the bodybuilders are mostly having anal sex with each other?
I think that the money in that culture comes from gays, not from heterosexuals. I mean, I think it's like I don't know what to say. Like, wouldn't it? But don't you see the logic of it?
Yeah, I agreed with that. But then,
like logically,
yeah. So what I'm saying,
it's going to go there
because when we say gay, we typically like, and maybe I'm wrong, but like my view of it is, like you said, yours used to be that way. It means somebody. It's like it's queen. It's like
Oh
sister,
yeah.
Like,
well, there's a way in which homosexual activity breaks a taboo for most guys. Obviously, it's like that's the line you don't cross. But
yeah, like is Hormaxer gay?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I was going to bring up because I was trying to introduce to him in a way that maybe you're having a similar reaction. I'm not saying that I think you're this guy, but he has said like I absolutely have no problem with trans women who have not had bottom surgery, and I'm saying, but if I say like, well, okay, then I think you're at least bisexual. He gets super mad because he thinks I'm calling him an FAG. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not. I'm not saying that. There are tops who would never take it in the ass or in their mouth, right? Who only, and that was a Greek thing too. It's like it wasn't okay for like a senator to be the receiver. There was stigma there. But if you were the giver, it's like okay, or more okay. And like I get that, you know what I mean? Because you're kind of becoming a woman. So,
right.
I think there was a difference between a top and a bottom, and like there's a whole, there's a whole like understanding of how this happens. I think the way that they talk about it now from like a neo-Freudian point of view is, if you just are kind of like feminized super young, like before you're 3 years old, you're basically kind of, and it's your parents' fault. Usually, you're kind of raised to be girly. Then you're going to be one of those bottoms. But if you know what happens when you're like 8, 9, 10, you're into baseball players, you're into like you have posters of guys on your wall, and then but you want to be one of the bros, right? So if you fail at that age to connect with like your peers, your dad, whatever, then you can become this kind of like top type of gay who doesn't necessarily appear like a woman, but also is sort of like has just like, masculinity issues. Lalo's an example, I think, of this. And
True.
I'm not saying, I don't believe that any men are gay in the sense of being like, actually, I think it's all like a disorder. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think boys should be brought up.
Like
to
consider
become like
the
girls.
word. Consider the word. Like gay is an old word for happy, right? It just means joyful, exuberant, gay.
Yeah,
It just
and the
means feeling
rainbow
like,
used to feel like it's a nice thing for little girls to draw too.
so that's why I mean when we say gay, what we're talking about is effeminized males. We're talking about a feminization of males. So it's like being womanly. I mean, like women and children are gay. They're just like dancing and singing and
I mean, I think
throwing flowers around and stuff like that's gay. And so yeah, we're talking about the difference between same sex.
Yo, YouTube chat, we've been live for 2 hours and 40 minutes. I am going to switch over to Kick exclusively at this point. Thank you all for watching very, very much. I think that was a fun little back and forth. Misogyny exposed. Homosexuality exposed. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. But yeah, so we are going to move over to Kick, kick.com/ThorpeTube. Please meet us over there, guys. Love Kick. I'm going to be streaming more on there because they do have a sponsorship coming up on Kick. But thank you all for very much for watching on YouTube, and we'll see you guys later. Bye. Mods, drop the link in the YouTube chat if you can. Meet us over there, guys. The show is not ending. It's just moving.